got a bunch of more shorts in, so I'm gonna put some of those up. But
I'm
they're
just
starting to get some traction.
Oh, good. How do you
Starting to get.
see that
What do you mean?
on your end? We don't have access to see if they're doing that other than the number of views?
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's kind of hard because Facebook, YouTube, and X, they all have different metrics, and you can see the number of views, but you can't really see the stuff that I look at, that I've learned to look at over the years, which is, whether you do a video or a short, is the percentage of engagement of those that have viewed. And ours have always tend to be pretty high, and that's what I'm noticing about your program. And some of the other shows that are coming on like once a month, once a week, once every 2 weeks. But yeah, the engagement's there. So it's never been about the volume. It's about the percentage of people that engage as a whole, the net. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, here we are, week number 7 or 8. I've lost track now. I have a ascension memory.
I think it's 9 with me, 11 with Gareth.
Did we do two
wow.
together? I thought we did one together. Did we
You
do
did
two?
2 with Gareth.
Two,
Okay.
two.
Okay.
That's right. Gee,
That's
9/11.
There you go. All right. Yeah, I just want to say I enjoy it. I mostly get to watch it on the replay as I'm doing my work, and but yeah, it's really interesting. And again, a really good example of the number of people that tune in and the percentage of those that engage. Which is really to me where the real proof is. So, but anyway, you
Yeah.
guys are transmitting into the energetic grid, and we all know that that's where the rubber meets the road. So let me just make you a host. Boom. And I will see you guys and watch you guys. Okay.
Thanks,
Take care.
Todd.
See you, Todd.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Yeah, I'm considering we're going through the biggest transition in history of the universe. Pretty good. How about you?
No, I'm not good. No.
So that's a good forum for a discussion, isn't it?
No. No.
What's firstly, hi everybody, by the way.
Everybody.
Hi
Yeah,
everybody.
we don't need to talk about me. I got a list of questions I actually printed out. I did.
Excellent. You're the best, Katie Kiss.
That's funny. I was just on a call before this with some girls I've been in a kind of a group with for a year. The 13 sacred nights centered around the holidays, the traditional holidays, which I don't partake in really anymore. And we meet every month and we get on a call and the girls were talking about because I do a lot of live calls and I'm in communities and I don't know, just the internet just saved my life when everything in my physical life fell apart. So I'm really grateful and I'm very active participant. And the girls were telling me because I'm always sending reminders of this Zoom call. So I'm sending them the Zoom link. I'm sending them, you know, dates and things that I'm doing or meditations or whatever. And my one girlfriend, Melanie, says to me, I've now started to call you KI, not AI, but KI. And I'm like, oh my God, I love that.
I
So, I make lots of noise about not wanting to be here, and I'm certainly not lying, but there's some beauty here as well. A lot of support, a lot of good people.
good to see that. It's good to stop sometimes and just take a moment just to appreciate that. Yeah, as hard as it is, the rest
I
of it is.
appreciate it, but it's like skin deep. The appreciation is like I know to appreciate it instead of it truly feeling it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Now which is a very good point. It's kind of like you're phoning it in because you know the value of doing it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm cleaning an office, my office in my house.
Oh yeah, that's
And
right.
I've spent 6 years emptying this house of stuff that my family never throws away. And so I've emptied the basement, I've emptied and organized the attic, and like things have gotten shifted around in the renovation. And I just ripped up divorce papers, custody papers, threw out pictures. I got it all collected, and I think my mom and I'll have a fire, do some sort of ceremony, cord cutting, writing things down, burning it all up. I mean, since I
Mm.
fell into this depression in 2019, I know we have to be careful about what we say and how we say it, but I've just been like, burn it all down, burn it all down. I don't care about what I own, what I have, where I live. Like, the less things I have, the better. The lighter I feel, the
Mm.
healthier I feel. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, and it's a good thing to have stuff, right? I mean, I suppose. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. It's a good problem to have, is in terms of better to have than not, right? Like, as far as
Sure.
problems go, right?
I guess,
But
yeah.
I
A
guess,
balancing thing
right?
as well, isn't it?
Balance, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
So,
I know I
um,
went through the same process after I asked for help. I got everything. Basically, I lived it out of a backpack. That was all I owned for about 4 years.
was that all you owned?
Well, yeah, I got
That
rid of
sounds like
everything.
my dream come true. I look around things, I'm like, oh, I'd miss this or I'd miss that. But at the same time, like, oh, my dream is to live in a really nice, outfitted, like, van, right?
Yeah, sure.
4 years you live like that, Gareth?
4 years with a backpack because I travelled around. I just travelled basically. I was in a place for maybe 3 or 4 months at a time, and then I'd feel the need to move on, and I would. So the less I had to pack up and unpack, the it just didn't work. I was not really. It wasn't about anything else other than moving with what was playing out.
Right,
So
right.
yeah,
Well, I've done a lot of traveling, to Texas and the Carolinas and stuff, for conferences or retreats or whatever. And it's like the nicer weather. Like, I find I really don't need a tenth of the clothes that I have,
yeah,
right? And I want them all to be wool, linen, or cotton. So I have emptied trash bags of my clothes out of my house. If it's not, that kind of quality, I don't want it. And I bring the same stuff anyway, but there's that fear of like, well, what if? And so then you overpack, right? Like, every single time.
Hey, it's
But
funny, isn't it? I think that feeling goes into acquiring stuff. A bit of yeah, there's probably a few emotional elements involved in it, and how we acquire everything. So it kind of makes
well,
sense
it's
when you want to get clear about your life. Some of that stuff doesn't feel right in that feeling. So well, yeah, you got to shed it, I guess.
Well, that's a big thing too. I just, finished a fasting challenge with Lori Ladd, and when she gets on the calls with us, and Rory did it too, and I don't even know who else in the chats did it, but she'd say declutter, declutter, and she's right. I mean, I've been doing it for 6 years. I've literally because it's a decluttering and simplifying is extremely spiritual. Like, there's a reason cleanliness is next to godliness is a saying.
Mm,
It's
yeah,
true.
definitely. Yeah,
And with the fasting challenge, what I chose sugar, so I did 6 days with no sugar at all. But plenty of people, some people did alcohol, some people did limiting beliefs, some people did TB or water fasting, stuff like that. I mean, fasting is coming up everywhere I look.
yeah,
People are talking
same.
about fasting.
True, me too. Very, but look, you look great, by the way. You're doing
Well,
well. You're doing well.
well, the new camera is a little clearer.
Oh yes, we
We
that
figured
it
that out
is.
a couple of days
Yeah,
ago, didn't we?
that's
Yeah,
right.
my camera. You guys notice my camera is so much better.
Your glasses look so much clearer now. Boing.
I know, but like the top of the glasses make a shadow, so my eyes look like black.
Yeah, I get
So,
that problem. Zzz,
yeah, yeah, I
glasses.
can't wait. Oh, and okay, so one of the fasting posts I just saw was from one of the guys I found very early in my awakening, Kyle Cease. Mike and I
Oh
were
yeah.
in his community. We were in his community for years. I think Mike still is. And we went to various retreats together. And that's where Mike and I got really close and became like travel buddies. And but I just saw a reel of Kyle's. He's in day 8 of a water fast and he's lost 17 pounds. And what did he say? Oh, and his vision. He's healed his vision during the water fast. There were some things in the chats nobody quite
Mm.
understood what he was saying. Like, did he lose his vision or does he no longer need prescriptions? Like they can't, I don't have like deep context around that. But I thought that was really interesting that
Wow.
because my
Okay.
vision, I would, give my left arm, not my right arm, my left arm to not have prescription glasses.
Everyone, if
Not-
you suddenly see us come on the call and neither of us are wearing glasses, you know we've just done a water fast.
or Katie cut off her left arm.
Oh, Katie's now one-armed.
So, oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, I've always heard a lot of good things about water fasting. I haven't actually done it myself.
Yeah. Yeah, really good things, very spiritual. And even
Mm.
The Nazarene spoke of, I mean, if we're to believe what we hear, spoke of fasting. And the I think the key around fasting is not really to have an outcome in mind. Like you're not doing it to lose weight or this, that, or the other thing. So a big part of our intention was to strengthen our connection to God. Um, and I think the disciples fasted and probably at least once a month. And I just find it all very fascinating. And the more people I talk to, the less food people seem to need right now.
Yeah, I'm finding the same thing. It's very interesting you say that. Maybe there's a connection with the physicality. And it's interesting after I asked for help, I had a series of, it was maybe about an 18-month period. I had a series of books, just things sort of come to me. One of them actually was Conversations with God, which put the phrase in my mind to actually connect with who I asked for help with directly. But another one was a book called Living Water by a guy called
Victor
Olaf.
Schauberger.
Victor Schauberger, yeah, Olaf Anderson wrote a book about
Oh,
Victor Schauberger. Yes,
okay.
that he created. If anyone doesn't has never heard of Schauberger, he was a Swiss forest worker around the turn of the 20th century, I think 1900s, early 1900s, somewhere around there. And he discovered he came up with something he called the trout turbine, which was about uh, generating power from water flow. And yeah, that was a fascinating book, and the dynamics that are present in water. He discovered it because being a forest worker in the mountains in Switzerland, he was around a lot of rivers, fast flowing, particularly, obviously coming into summer, spring, summer. And the way trout spawn was to go upstream right when this water was coming downstream, and somehow they were able to go upstream. And he was curious about it, so he watched them, and they'd sit behind a rock and they do this sort of thing where they would sit behind a rock. So I guess they were out of too much flow of water and sort of do this little dance and keep it up for a while, and then boof, they jump out of the water and up, and then they do it again. And they kept doing it. And he found that the flow of the water over their bodies was uh, they would they would do this dance, and it would create what he called a cycloid spiral motion around the body of the fish, which would generate a power, kind of power, but it would give it was almost like no friction, like between the skin of the fish and the flow of the water was this little bubble of anti-friction, so that the flow of the force of the flow of the water would be reduced so much that they could flow upstream.
That's
So he built
fascinating.
a technology based on that principle.
Right.
But it took though people took it way, way, way further after that, and the intelligence in water
Oh my gosh,
behind
Veda
water is
Austin's doing all that stuff
exactly
now.
there's a lot of amazing information coming out about it. And we're of course what 70% water, I think.
Yeah. No, no, they've even said 90. They've even upped
90%.
that, yeah, at this point. Gerald Pollack works with water, Veda Austin, Catherine Clinton. Like there's the water priestess, I think. There are so many because like what Veda shows with speaking to water is the water will illustrate when it's frozen what you spoke into it. And even if you sat a petri dish of water on a photograph, the water will interpret the photograph very recognizably. Like mind-blowing stuff. Mind-blowing
Mm.
stuff. We've seen her speak a few times now, and it's always just like jaw on the ground. And I take webinars with her, and she has a webinar coming up in February, I think it is. And her webinars are amazing. She brings people in from all over the world doing all sorts of work around water. And now she's working, of course, with autists and telepathy and water. And
Mm.
her webinars are usually like 10 hours long and they're fantastic.
I've
Fantastic.
got to do that actually. I wouldn't mind jumping
Oh
on there
yeah.
and having a look at that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's coming up in February. So, hi Lindsay. Oh, Dr. Emoto. Yes, 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 yes. And Blue
Dr.
Bottle
Emoto,
Love.
yes.
Yep, yep. Um,
Yeah, 40 days.
so Lindsay and I were talking, texting a bit this week, and she brought up the Sophia Code. She had bought, that's a book.
Mm.
And I've heard Kaya Ra, who channeled it, the book. I've heard her and I love listening to her speak, but I didn't know if what you knew about Sophia.
Sophia, yeah.
So what Lindsay says, it said that Sophia gave birth to it all. She was the original thought slash spark from God. The Bible wouldn't have it. In the video she watched, they referenced, and she shared the video with me, and I shared the video with you. She said they referenced some lost books that reference her, but still she's very hidden between the lines. Like it doesn't fit the narrative, so it's nothing we've all been taught. No.
Mm.
So what do you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, very like the Magdalene, and I guess you could say they're kind of they represent the same thing. The way the Magdalene's been distorted and written out of history, and you know, a sinner who repented and was forgiven, and this whole framing of the feminine, the Garden of Eden thing, that the whole reason that humans are in this position is because of women, which is obviously an inversion. You know, it's an inversion that the whole, well, as God called this reality, it's an inversion. Well, that's where it starts. The polarity between masculine and feminine is critical. That's why what David Deida brought in is one of the four pillars of the transition. He's getting clear about the relationship between the male and female polarity um, is is critical to balance because there's an order to them. It's not just like they're two things next to each other
Mhm.
that you've got to kind of balance. It's that the
Yin
physical
yang.
world comes from a single frequency into the illusion of separation through the masculine feminine polarity. So which one came first? Well, the feminine. And of course, those of the interference flip that around, because the whole thing of um, the inversion is to put the ego in front of consciousness.
Right.
So the feminine principle is consciousness, pure consciousness. The ego is the thought I. So obviously, a thought can't exist unless consciousness is there first. So you're born non-verbal. you get to a stage around two where you become aware of yourself as separate. The thought I am separate from, and everything grows in greater complexity from that single thought. But obviously, the awareness, you're born conscious first. So, and all biological life throughout the universe, no matter what species, no matter what part of the universe you're in, if you're biological life, you start female in utero and you become a male by a mutation process at some point in gestation, depending on the species. So that's universal to all life. So the way Deida put it, all power comes from the female and is utilized by the male. And that's true within each human. Men and women operate that way. That's why you've got to come from the heart and let your mind work out how to come from the heart. And let your heart connection tell you which way to step. Should I go left or should I go right? And then
That was another part of Lindsay's question, is how just struggling with getting it in the right order. But I
yeah,
think her awareness of wanting to get it in the right order is kind of half the battle.
exactly. That's what one of the things God meant when he said your motivation is your protection in all things. So, the mistakes you make are corrections in balancing the bike. You make a mistake, you start moving too far to the left, the bike's in danger of overbalancing, and then you make a mistake, you try to correct. So that's how you learn where balance is, by overbalancing
Yeah.
one side or the other. So if you've got a problem with making mistakes, getting it right, that's how you create the problem, because that's not how life works. You've got to be able to move left and right, and you get a direct experience of what's the center point between polarity. And remember, the whole point of the universe existing is to have a direct experience of the illusion of two becoming one, because we start out one. God is one. We are one.
Yeah.
And we explore the form that unity can take through the illusion of separation, male, female,
Yeah.
me, you, whatever. So me and life, how do you move through life in a way that works? Well, coming out of this problem, that's a great way to do it. That's exactly what I did after I asked for help, is I would literally walk out the front door and ask whether I should go left or right, and let that first impression be there without arguing with it. I would argue with it sometimes, but I would just go with it anyway. What was that first moment that came along? Was it a left or a right? Yeah, that middle eye, the one who can see the balance point, the middle
Right.
eye,
Yep.
the self
Yep.
that's both one, the self that you get when you put masculine and feminine together is the middle eye, the all-seeing eye, the third eye,
Yep.
the eye that's male, the eye that's female, the eye that's both. So
Yep.
that's how you bring them back together. You've got to learn in your own life, I think, through direct experience personally. Like I walked out the front door and I spent 4 years and I ended up talking to God. The person I asked for help from with the problem, the being I asked for help for from the problem, led me through a process that allowed me to interact directly. I had no idea that's what was happening. I just asked for help. And I let life take me. I put my free will back in the hands of God. Give your, the best thing you can do with the gift of free will is to give it back to its source. Well, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So, so here you've got a problem. You don't know what to do. You know what? I'll ask for help, and I'll step out the front door, and I'll turn left and see what happens. I did that and got a book called The Only Planet of Choice, and I ended up speaking to Tom.
Yeah,
Who
but
knows
then
what your
people will
version?
say, right, but then people will say, well, how does that translate in the physical world? Like you didn't have kids when you did that. You didn't have responsibilities when you did that. So everyone argues, I have a job, I have kids, I have this. And well, I had a kid, he's grown. I had a job, no longer. I don't know. It's trusting life, trusting that you're supported.
That's very
Because
true. It's a good
like
point.
one of the girls on the call I was on just a little while ago, after I took my turn because they all knew I had to leave, said she
Princess
said
came.
she read somewhere that sin, the only sin, is not accepting the healing power, the healing works from the creator. And that rang pretty true. Like I'm in instead of just allowing it, it's like I'm resisting all of it. I'm not, but I don't know how to enjoy it. It's so funny
Isn't it? It's interesting. Yeah, it's like we argue, we ask for help, and then we argue with the help when
with
it
the
comes because
help.
we don't recognize it.
Well, yeah, because
But, well, I was going to say, what that is the problem, that in itself. So we ask for help, and we put into situations where, it's important we get it right. Like I've got kids now. I just wanted to explain when I asked for help, I was single and I didn't have a job. I was a professional musician. Well, that had all fallen apart by then. But yeah, I could just get up and go, and I did. Um, but when I came back, the reason I met my twin flame was because I did that. The reason it was so important that I do that when I meet my twin flame is because when we do have kids, and bear in mind, from the moment, excuse me, from the moment we met to the moment our first child was born was about 18 months. So that was pretty quick. We met, married, and she was pregnant the day we were married. We didn't know until the next day. So it's like when you
it's
say
exactly what
yes,
happened to me.
yeah, well, get ready because you're going this way very fast. But the reason it was very important that I get a handle on this letting go of control, like actually living it, you've got to actually act on it for a while before it's formed enough. Then I was ready to take on the next level because we moved. By the time my kids left home, we moved house 17 times. And they left home, my son left home when he was 19. So from birth to 19, we moved 17 times. Why did we move? Because we knew we needed to. I changed jobs like so many times. We would get a choice point in front of us and we would go with our heart and move with that. And that created that was difficult to do a lot of the time. It was very difficult to do, and it created a knock-on effect that we had to deal with problems around that. But the whole point was to follow our heart and do what we knew was right and let that play out. Let the results of that play out. So that was part of our soul purpose, was to break the back of the system that throws everything it can at you to stop you doing that. That's why most people don't, because it looks scary. If I
It's
told you,
terrifying. It's
yes, well,
terrifying. All my friends left. Everyone's gone. Nobody checks in. Like it's terrifying because then you're all on your own doing this. But you're not on your own. That's the whole thing. It's all bringing you
yeah.
closer to God.
I mean, it's the balance point between security and truth, being secure in the moment and living in the truth, getting
Right.
those two to coexist. Again, masculine, feminine. Living in the truth, feminine, being secure, masculine. It's a masculine principle's job to make sure that you got enough food, there's petrol in the car, there's la di da di da. But if you let the fear grab that, it'll judge these trajectories or shifts in trajectory as wrong at hitting security. You'll react against it. And truth is the cost. Now, having said that, to go the other way, if you've been living that way, to go the other way is going to trigger all of that need to be secure. And that's part of the reason why these choice points to move are put the way they are, is to start to dissolve that need to be secure. So it's a living
Yeah.
experience, and there's no easy way around it. But I
Yeah,
mean, the only way to know that it won't all end badly is to live it.
is to live it. Yeah, Lindsay had asked me and she had texted me. She's like, "Do you ever get scared? Like, do you fear?" And I said, I think that's one of the blessings of my awakening is it showed me things at such a core level. I don't have fear. But then I said, very honestly, like then I wonder if I'm like phoning it in because every once in a while I do have moments of panic of my cats dying and my mom dying and like how am I living this life that for all intents and purposes this is not a life. I am existing. I am the walking dead. But I don't have fear of anything going on in the geopolitical world. I just don't care what's going on out there. I want no part of any of it and let it all burn. But so I guess in a sense, I'm walking that walk. I'm walking that way. I've
Mm.
done it right. Like
Mhm.
the other thing we were saying, there are as many paths to God as there are stars in the sky. Everyone's path
Unique.
is unique. But then that's the other thing Lindsay was saying, like there is an absolute truth, but all of our paths and beliefs here in the physical realm are so different.
Mhm.
So
Which is
how?
again feminine, masculine. The absolute reality, the feminine principle holds the absolute reality, the truth of who you are. The masculine principle is relative reality. My reality relative to yours. So they're both true, but one comes first, which is the absolute reality. Once they're together, there's no conflict between having relativity because that's part of the illusion of separation. Your reality, your way of getting from where you are to that absolute reality is unique to you. And my way of getting from where I am to that absolute reality is unique to me, but they're the same thing as well. And and then the differences between them are more about, yeah, you can celebrate them than react against them. Everything's got to be a certain way. That relative reality, you could call that the matrix in a way. Relative reality, the mind separated from the absolute truth of the consciousness that arises in is another way of saying it. So fear does that. It separates the ego. The ego that controls separates itself from the heart connection. Now everyone's living in relative reality, and that was really engineered by those of the interference. And you can see it playing out right now, particularly
So
with the gender issue, gay, straight, male, female. There's all sorts of you can't. There's
so
a
gross.
well, the problem with relative reality separated is it reinforces the pain,
Yeah,
ironically, by
right.
by creating all of these laws around the trauma that a lot of people have gone through who are gay, lesbian, um, whatever neurodivergent, whatever you want, whatever label you want to put on it. Those people have gone through a lot, and there's a lot of pain around it. And the idea of relative reality, making the reality that brought them into, um, giving it rights, separate rights, it's a bit of a problem because you end up getting stuck in it. Like your whole personality forms around the
Yes.
pain. And you're just
Yes.
on the other side of the coin where you had to hide yourself. Now no, I don't. But either way, the self that does that is the false self, the self built around the relative reality of I am, me separate from the other, is amplified in the wrong direction and then held there by that pain.
Okay, so right, so people are fighting over their false selves. They're fighting
Hmm.
over their belief systems around who they are and what they are. Like we're born, we get a religion, a name, a birth certificate, like, and then we spend our whole lives defending this false
Defending
self
it.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, so then with the gender issue, like I was brought up around gay, lesbian, like my whole life, and now the agenda around it is repulsive. It's like really
Oh,
awful and uncomfortable and I don't know, unnecessary. And I don't want to diminish anyone's individual, pain or experience, of course. Oh my gosh. But it's almost fighting to fight. Like and it's the agenda, but I was
hmm.
gonna say something and I lost it.
It's self-sustaining when it happens that
Oh, I know what I was gonna say. So as I believe, like everything is amping up out in the world. This three-eye atlas, ET exposure. I think a big celebrity just came out and said she didn't believe in the moon landing. I think it was Kim Kardashian of all people. You never know with AI what's real, what's not, whatever. So I'm just saying, but it's a reel that's getting eyes on it. So these things are coming out as, divine order and everything. So this gender issue, the COVID issue, the cancer issue, the education issue, the financial issue, like you see this and I see this as all coming out in the next 2 years.
Yes, and it's really one issue. That's the great
Really
thing
one
about it.
issue.
It's really one issue. It's one issue. It's
Name the
fear.
issue. Fear.
It's our fear of the
The
unknown.
our
It
fear of the
creates
unknown, the
our
separation of
self-doubt and fear of
the
yeah,
illusion of separation.
well, yeah, but I mean it's all coming from the issue that we aren't right as we are. And that sort of creates their ability to engineer a reality around it that is false. So all the systems of government and all the systems around our civilization serve that imbalance. So they create problems. All like think of it as you've got one problem in your gut, and then over time the symptomology manifests chronic conditions like all through your body. Now
Yes.
you can look at them all separately if you want and
But
try
it's
to
one
push
issue.
one
But it's
fire and
one.
another one pops up, but you're never going to get to the core issue. Well, what is that? It's our own self-doubt that our judgment isn't valid, that we've got to be really careful so that we can't criticize, for instance, the whole gender debate. We can't criticize the debate without looking like we're doing what used to happen to the people concerned. We're
Right.
criticizing directly. We're invalidating their pain. But that's not what we're doing. So that's
No.
what they're masters at. They're masters at kind of hiding the plan behind the need for change. So if you oppose the plan, you oppose the need for change. But
Yes.
what
Yes.
needs to change though? What is it that really needs to change? The idea that your own integrity as a human being is flawed and that you need a government to, how do I put it, look after you.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
know
again,
what?
well, again, that gets back to the security. Like, how do you move through this? Let go of control, ask for help, trust it. How do you get back from this state, to your own integrity? In other words, your whole, masculine and feminine, one. You're a being, pure being with both polarities in perfect balance, integrity. How do you get back to that? Well, you let go of control and you walk out the front door and you ask left or right and you just follow it and you keep following it and you watch the pattern unfold. You watch why you needed to go left. You may not find out. I didn't know why I needed to go left and find the only planet of choice until 3.5 years later when I was speaking to the being channeled in the book. But if I hadn't have gone left, right, left, right, left, right for 4 years, it wouldn't have happened. Now, what made me do it? I didn't need to know the outcome. All I needed to know is that I needed to trust this because everything else I'd done up to that point had got me the wrong place. So
Yeah.
therefore,
Didn't work anymore.
what do I know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, I have a belief in an absolute reality that there is someone you can ask for help from, and there is a reality that you can relax into that will be brought to that will free you of all of that.
Why
That's
does
been kind
the
of edited out of everybody's belief systems very cleverly.
why does the help feel so uncomfortable? It's just so uncomfortable.
Because our own the discomfort is within us. So the help is bringing out the discomfort till we can get comfortable with, it goes in stages because it is a lot. But getting comfortable with being outside your comfort zone is a big one. It's a big
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Become comfortable with discomfort and you've kind of
Mm.
mastered the game.
That's it. Because why is it uncomfortable? Is it really true what your mind's telling you that that's why it's uncomfortable? Is it really true intrinsically of the situation that's why it's uncomfortable? Or is there something else going on that we're projecting an idea onto it and we're experiencing that moment like the idea is true? And if that's the case, how do you get free of it? Well, you get brought into those situations time and time again until there's no more assumption left because you've lived it so many times, you know what it is. You don't need to assume what the nature of that experience is because you've lived it so many times, you're clear on it. There's no need for what born of the unknown doesn't exist now because it's known. That which is unknown becomes known. That's the key. The only way to get known what you're missing that will free you of the pain you're in to know that is to let go of control and let life take you through experience after experience. It's all connected, just like symptom after symptom. The one problem, they're all connected. You don't know why yet or how, and you won't for a long time, or you won't until the right time.
Until
What
the
makes
right
that
time.
happen
I
is
was just gonna say.
yeah, well, there's less of you in the way. There's less thinking in the way, assumptions about what it is in the way, and there's no other way around it. Direct experience. That you don't need to be in control. In fact, not only do you not need to be in control, the best way to screw your life up is to control it.
Yeah,
Be in control to a point, but there's balance.
yeah, yeah. Um, so shame and guilt. A lot of people feel it. Lindsay was texting that about that today. Just like everything. I have guilt over how I'm doing this. I have guilt over what I'm not doing. I have guilt about what I am doing. What? And then she said she feels like men have less of that shame or guilt. And I said, "Oh, let's get Gareth to talk about that." Um,
Men are
because
great at
it's
putting a
very,
mask on.
what's that?
Men are great at putting a mask on.
Men are great at putting a mask on. That's part of the agenda as well, though, too. Keep their emotions within. Yeah.
You want to
Yeah.
shut down a
Don't show that. That's
civilization?
weak. Right.
That's it. I mean, how do you shut down the divine feminine? You shut down the sacred masculine first.
Masculine.
That's what's
Right.
happened. That's what they do. They shut down the safe. They mess with our belief system. And men
How how do we get out
create
of the
and relate
shame
to that.
spiral?
Huh?
How do we get out of the shame spiral?
Well, reach a point where you can't keep going the way you have been, even though you don't even know what that is. All you know is you've run out of road. That's the best thing that can happen because you've run out of road. That old MO where the whole agenda behind the mind control is to get you to move through life in a certain way, to see yourself and life in a certain way. So you move through life to get somewhere, which reinforces that you need the what you're trying to get at, because the motivation to get somewhere isn't about experiencing life, it's about getting away from
From
something.
something. Yeah.
If there's something you want to get away from is an assumption that you have to have something to you have a reason to feel ashamed of yourself and guilty. Guilt and shame are a way to how that is expressed, that you aren't right as you are. So guilt and shame are just really, let's say, the delivery vehicle of that imbalance within you, that you aren't right as you are, which isn't true. So we're moving away from what we feel ashamed about and guilty about to somewhere, and then we get to a point where no matter what we've done, we've never been free of it. In fact, it's just got worse. So we hit the wall. That's the best thing that can happen because you've run out. That's the MO you've run out of. It just may not feel that way at the time. You just don't know what to do. Now that can bring up a lot of these feelings too. That's why a lot of people check out at that point. But if you stay with it and ask for help, you've switched back on as a receiver, as the way God put it. Your body mind is a receiver. Instead of transmitting, this is what I need to do. This is what I should do. This is how I should be. This is how everything should be. Now it's like, hang on a minute, what's true again? That question's got you for the rest of your life, and it won't go away. There's nothing you can do that will change that point. And you, once you reach that point, you're done. The truth is coming, or you're going to check out, one or the other. And
The truth
when you,
is coming. I know the truth is coming, and I still want to check out.
yeah. Now again, you get delayed gratification. You're not going to get the solution because where's the need for the solution coming from? The idea that you aren't right, things aren't right. And that's what happens when you run out of road. You've been running from that feeling. So, of course, it makes sense that when you run out of road, you're in that feeling things aren't right. So, you want them right now because that's how we've been trained to operate. The mind does things quickly, it doesn't want to wait. The feeling's too intense. But being held in that feeling without knowing what to do, that's what heals it because the feeling is coming from an assumption. That's why delayed gratification is the key thing. The emotional body, the divine feminine, the ability for the mind to hold you in a space, to allow that to be there as it is, and wait for the next step to come. Um, that's what changes everything emotionally,
I
is what
know.
brings it all out. So you're going to
Yeah.
feel more and more of the thing you're trying to get away from. And again, letting go of
Boy, oh
control.
boy. Have I been
Stepping
feeling this very thing I'm trying to get away from for 6 years.
Look, Atlas is a big, big, big part of this too, so we can talk about that. Like this great falling apart that the Arcturians described this as the great coming together and the great falling apart. We were shown, my twin flame and I were shown about 10 years ago what the catalyst for the transition showing up would look like. It was shown to us as a civilization called the Ven appeared and used a technology to draw out the residual energy of 12,000 years of this from the human race. So just like when you hit the wall, you go through a process of releasing all of the emotional energy that you've been holding back, the shame and the guilt. It feels like bad, anger, pain, it all starts to come out. Well, that's part of the process of coming back to the truth of who you are, is to release everything that isn't of that you created by trying to get away from the idea that you aren't that already. That created the problem. So uncreating the problem is by being held in it without just believing it. But on the human race level, that's happening en masse. So
I saw an article about 3i. It passed close to the sun. It's like as close, I can't remember what it said. Basically, but that mainstream is just acknowledging it's ET technology or something. Like what is even happening? I don't know what's going on out there. I don't follow news, so I don't know what's being said. I just saw this one thing about some anomalous behavior when it passed so close to the sun. Like it's
I got,
assisting us. What's it doing? I want it to do it faster.
well, be careful what you wish for. It is that, and that is speeding up. Um, well, I mean, the frequency is extremely powerful. I mean, one of the technologies using light, you can cause someone to be paralyzed and then bring them up onto a ship just using a beam of energy because it's
Oh, I'd like
frequency.
that right now. You say be careful what you say, but I'd like that. Mike just said they're saying that 3i Atlas is not acting like a comet. No,
Yeah,
I
well, it
know.
isn't.
They're all saying that.
It isn't. So it's part of the Galactic Federation making their presence felt, but it also preparing us for that moment. So just like we couldn't, you can't hear something that will free you before you're ready to. You've got to go through a process to hear it. The answer everybody's looking for, it's not so much, the problem isn't so much that it doesn't exist, it's our ability to receive it. We have to be brought up to speed. There's too much in the way, and that there's a refining process that we go through so that you can actually hear. And you know yourself, like some of the things I've been telling you that have been shared with me, you've heard them repeated, 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 and you hear them in a new way each time. Like
Yeah.
you've got to hear it once, and it has an impact that you don't even understand. And then events seem to happen that are unrelated, and then you hear the same thing again a year later, and you suddenly go, "Oh, that's why."
Yeah,
Click. See that?
absolutely. But wouldn't a big mass event wake people up, get them to the place? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
It,
somebody needs to shake the
it would.
jar.
But look what happened post-war with the whole ET thing, with those of the interference post the Roswell crash. How
Right, but
much
that couldn't happen now.
Well, how much, yeah, but how much mind control program is embedded in this collective consciousness that will cause a level of reactionariness that those of the interference can use against the galactic open contact happening? Because free will, our choice, our level of consciousness is the catalyst that allows that connection to happen. And they've thrown everything they can into the human experience to make that as hard as possible. So that moment has to be handled very carefully by the
Yeah.
Galactic Federation. We have to be
Yeah.
brought to the process of disempowering the impact of that reactionaryism enough so that, because it's still going to happen to a degree, it's a massive, I mean, it's going to change
Sure.
everything on such a huge level. So it has to be handled carefully, just like your awakening. You can't just go from A to B. The amount of emotional energy that's trapped in our beingness because of this idea we aren't right as we are, and the fact we've acted on it all our life is extremely powerful force, and it has to be let out gradually over
Yeah,
time.
that's
Your
exactly
mind
what
will,
it
yeah,
that's what Athena is saying. She says mass panic is what they're trying to avoid because humans are known for freaking out more than we need. But you said just like my awakening. I feel like my awakening, I went from A to Z, like in a
you
shot.
did, you did. You went to straight to 0 point, which is not always very common. But look the impact it had on you.
I'm I'm a crying heap puddle of mush.
You've been on death's door for 6 years.
Oh, oh, I see what you're saying.
But what is death? What is it I'm
It's not even
insecure
real.
against? What is it really that I'm trying to protect myself from?
Well, that's what I said to Lindsay is why I don't have fear because I have a higher perspective that was gifted to me in my awakening that I hardly know anyone who has this perspective. Um, not in some sort of like I'm better than you way. I mean, I have a higher perspective way where as much as I say this, I'm also suffering it. It's so weird. My relationships that I'm grieving, that I miss dearly, there's a level of me that is also like, okay, I'm okay if I never see any of them ever again because this is a game and we're eternal. And there's no such thing as never seeing any of them ever again. That's just not a thing. So that's where I get hung up on my awaken, of course, because I'm in my own body and my own experience, but that's where I get caught up in why I've been at death's door for 6 years when I do have that higher perspective and that understanding of the eternal nature of things. Why can't I? What is wrong with
Exactly.
me?
And again, you see the problem the fact that it's not going the way you expect can reinforce the idea you aren't right as you are. What is wrong with me? But that's the thing. It's designed to do that. It brings up all of the emotional,
But
because remember, the
there's
ego
also
that go.
there's also that understanding of that. I have the understanding that I am right as I am. I think I'm magnificent and powerful and hilarious and loving and generous and blah, 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 blah. So
Why isn't everything cool then? Because
why don't I
yeah,
like
well,
it
you know
here?
that, and but you don't as well. So it's
Okay.
all the Katies that don't know that. The ego that controls runs off emotional energy, and that emotional energy has to be in a certain state, and it keeps the emotional energy in that state, which is negative, like dark, like the conclusions, the mind conclusions have to be of a certain nature. The ego that controls will defend itself. So what really sort of happens is crisis is a you get to a point where you hit the wall and now you're in a process of ego death. Well, the ego that controls is an inversion of the ego in service to self. So there's this wrestling match going on between these two forces. The ego that controls is trying to keep itself in control and will disguise itself as the truth of who you are. So a lot of people in spirituality get caught in this. The ego in service to self is about undoing um, the ego that controls simply by its presence. doesn't fight back. There's no need to. It's simply you become more aware of the truth of who you are and less invested. There's less emotional investment in the ego that controls over time. And that's the process you've been going through. All of us have been going through ego death.
So if a lot of my problem is not realizing, or maybe subconsciously, that I'm right as I am, there's nothing wrong with me. Why do you think it's important for me to do family systems constellation if there's nothing wrong with me?
Well, it's a way to mine through those subconscious layers of this distortion's impact on you. And there are generational aspects to that too. That's what those of the interference have been doing. It's, as I said, the when the Nazarene said the sins of the father are visited on the son, you decode that a bit. The error imbalance within the masculine principle in the generation before you is transferred to you because you're raised by them. Now, the impact that that's had on the family line over time, it creates an imbalance, a distortion in the family system, just like the ego and the consciousness have an order. First comes consciousness and then comes ego. The mother and the father have a place. They have a spot that they stand in, which puts them in right relationship to each other. Then the children have a right place within the system. The system is healthy because everybody is in their right place. But with self-doubt distorts where you think your place is. Now, if the mother feels she can't trust the father, she'll take his place. And that creates an imbalance within the family system. That's the system she grew up in, he grew up in, and we mirror and it just gets reinforced. Now your path is to break that conditioning. A lot of people on this call, a lot of people in our generation, I was
Yeah.
told X marks the spot, particularly Gen X.
Yep.
Gen X is the bridge between the previous generation and the former generation. They said it all stops with us. This point in history, we were all born in a certain uh, generational template that has the right mix. There's a sort of revolutionariness to the Gen X that allows this process in a way that the previous and next generations don't. But the three generations together completely transform this whole reality. And that's where system constellation work comes in. So your own personal demons, if you like, some of them are yours because of the way you've acted within your own life, and some of them were given to you by the previous generation. So just like everyone has their right place, you keep what's yours and you give back what isn't. And
Yeah, I'd
system
like to give it
constellation
back
work is,
right now.
yeah, well, it's a way to do it. It's a way to do that. Each of
That's
the four
a
pillars.
common theme with me. Is that an Aries thing? A common theme? Like, I
Oh, big
want it
time.
right now. I want
Yeah.
it now. I want to go up on the ship now. I want the big event to be now. I want it all. I sent everybody the latest Blossom, not latest actually, it was from September 21st, the latest or more recent channeling with Federation of Light, Blossom Goodchild's channel, and it was so comforting. She is speaking my experience. We've had it. Everyone's in battle fatigue. Everyone like, and it's just, and this is like, it's gonna even get more crunchier.
Mm,
Like it's gonna get
mm.
like worse. But I think that getting worse is going to alleviate our pressure.
That's extremely good point. Yeah. A lot of people, a lot of us on this call, we don't really realize how much work we've been doing simply because we ask for the truth.
Anne
It's
reminds me
because
of that all the time. We
it's
can't,
because
yeah.
so much of it is subconscious. It's below the surface of
Yes,
our
it's below the
awareness.
surface. We don't even
You
know what
can't,
we're doing.
you can't see the impact that question's had because all you know is you've hit the wall and the life's still happening. But somehow this question, you can't, you're just not in, you're not in the same place you used to be in. Now you're still moving through life, but that question changes your trajectory through these experiences, and that's extremely important. The angle of trajectory changes, each one has a number, so it changes, the motivation's different now. That because the motivation, the question for the truth, all those experiences now serve undoing the problem instead of reinforcing it because you can't relate to them the same way anymore. You don't know what the truth, you don't know which way is up still. However, your relationship to everything you're going through is different. And that difference has an impact on what was always stuck. And that you can't see. You can't get a handle on. That's why when you hear someone say something like Ramana say you aren't your mind when you first hear it, and then 10 years later you hear it again, you go, oh, that's what he meant. Because of the subconscious substrate that wouldn't let you receive all of it. There's less of you caught up in the past and more of you here now. And not only that, but the direct experience of that process has taught you a lot about who you really are and what's really in front of you in a way you can only do directly. So that when you do hear those words again 10 years later, it has it's not just that you've heard them, it has a click effect. It helps you connect to the experiences that you've had, which are the answer. We want help,
It's so
and
trippy.
the experiences and how we're moving through them, that is the help. It's not a destination, it's a way of life. So getting a handle on meeting the moment, like you say, you want it now. The living moment is all there is, but there's so much of it in the past, we're not seeing it for what it is. And that has to be dealt with. That past has to be dealt with because it's a filter. It stops us seeing. And not only that, it gets in the way of us asking for help. It gets in the way of us receiving the help because the ego that controls is in that filter and it will argue with the process that will destroy it. And it'll make it look like this doesn't resonate with me. The me it doesn't resonate with is the problem. So the feeling isn't the problem and the catalyst isn't the problem. But who's arguing with it? Is it the true self or the false self? And again, people have to get it right. What if I don't get it right? Well, keep going until you do. Keep letting life take you into situations repeatedly, the same thing over and over again until you actually get clear on what it really is. That's how it works. So there's so much more work been going on in all of your lives than you realize. Now, what's coming next with Atlas is the vanguard of the introduction of open contact. What's coming next and the impact that will have on the physical world around us, very similar to what we've gone through individually, will be a lot of catalysts to show you just how far you've come, how much further you've come, and that'll have a big impact on self-doubt and your ability to meet life. And that will have a big impact on how you receive everything that comes from this collapse of the paradigm. Aha after aha. Oh, wow.
Oh, I
Being
can't
a
wait.
light up of connecting the dots instead of it being about killing everything you thought you knew was real,
Right.
which a lot of people are going to go through. Same catalyst,
Sure.
completely different impact. That's because you've asked for the truth. So your relationship to what you're going through right now is the same. It's getting you ready so that when the impact of the physical collapse finally hits, you'll be ready for it and you won't resist it. You'll go with it. That's why God said it's better for you if you choose it. You did, and you'll be very glad you did. They're going to go down screaming first because there's need for security. Remember how powerful that is. Every every act when I say they, I'm speaking about the mainstream population. Every act in their life has been about reinforcing the sense of security against the
Security.
false idea that they need it. Yes, actually. So they're going to have to lose all of that very fast.
That's where compassion comes in. I'm so
That,
sorry. I'm so
yeah,
sad for them. I'm
yeah. And
so, ugh.
now this is
But
a good point. I just want to make a good point here. This is why it's so important to let the anger and the
be there.
so you've got to allow that to be there because otherwise the compassion, that compassion, that's the truth underneath it. But it won't be there unless you've gone through the anger
Yeah.
and the blame and the pain and the how could you with the parents and the families and all the things that were done to you. The victim has to have a voice and the perpetrator has to be allowed to be there within you. That's a big key part of spirituality. Otherwise, the compassion might be authentic. But what happens is the reason the compassion is authentic is you get to a point where you're free of that layer of victim perpetrator enough to see it clearly. And you understand your own perpetrator, how the pain you let in created you acting in life with other people in a very similar way. It might be very different in some ways, but there are similarities. When you see that the impact of this inversion has had on you and what it's done to you and how you've behaved at times, you have compassion for them. You know what it's
Yeah.
like to have been inverted, and you know the impact that it has on you,
Yeah.
and you can forgive the symptomology of that impact on them because you've seen through it in yourself.
I see all ill behavior, all wrong behavior now as just simply a reach for love, a misalignment. Like on the call before this one, a woman younger than I am with a little one and separated and sharing her ex-partner's, the baby's daddy, his poor behavior. And I was thinking about my own situation with my own son and my own ex-husband and how horrible, horrible he was. And for some reason, even 28 years ago, I knew that he was just kind of broken, that he was just kind of a product of the inversion. And so I was able to share with her my own experiences, and she was asking for all of our advice and how to transcend the disgust with his behavior. And I simply said, begin reframing it and looking at it as compassion, because how sad it is to be someone like that who would be so awful to the mother of his child. I've lived it, so I can speak of it. So
That's
it's
right.
compassion for all bad behavior. It's compassion for, like, for all, no holds barred,
Mhm.
everything. Yeah, yeah.
That's the key to it. But you got to live to a certain point within your own healing process. Shame and guilt about who you've been, the engine room behind that and how we've acted from that assumption that we aren't right as we are at times. It's there isn't like the one problem in the gut can cause massive tree-top layers of symptomology.
Symptoms, right?
All the problems in the world basically come from the same problem. And that's why the Arcturians told me to say, love and light, brother, sister, you're not the
You're not
enemy.
the
It's
enemy.
all got one point of origin. And when we get distracted in blaming each other, we're not looking for the real cause, which is
The
those of
real
interference.
culprit, right,
Yeah,
right.
it's not your mum's fault. She's got the same problem you've got. And but you've got to feel that way too. You can't, when you argue with what is you suffer, doesn't just mean when you argue that everything is love and light, then you're going to suffer. So stop arguing and make everything love and light. It actually means when you argue with the way you feel right now, you're blocking the truth. But there's a way to have someone asked, sorry, I
Oh
didn't catch
yeah,
you.
Lindsay asked, "What's a healthy way to allow the anger to be there?" And then Athena said, "There isn't a healthy way to allow anger to fester." And there's a yes, there's a truth to both of it. But my anger, I feel like my anger festers.
Well, the fact is, you weren't allowed to feel anger. We were separated from ourselves. Anger is simply the pain of separation expressed. That's it. And at some point, we were separated from ourselves. That caused a pain body, you could say, that was built up over time through experience after experience that seemed to prove itself. And at a certain point, there's a critical mass. It stops. It turns from an. It's an in. It turned inward. The pain of separation is a focus that's turned inward, and it goes out. So now that same frequency is resolving itself out there at all the perpetrators that we perceive, and that just keeps it going. But to recognize that you are angry, and you got every right to be angry, and that's not the problem. It's what to do with it. There is a way. There's a
Yeah,
context to wrap it around, and that's what's been edited out of our lives is how to manage these situations. You judge yourself as wrong for being angry, and that just makes it worse. It just suppresses the anger. It just gives it more energy, actually. So letting the anger be there and not giving yourself a hard time for acting on it, but this is again where the four pillars of the transition is so critical. It's looking at it the wrong way around. We're looking at it upside down. So getting it back around the right way. And Satsang and Byron Katie's work particularly, but which is really just about self-inquiry. It's not about Byron Katie or Ramana Maharshi. It's about the awareness of which direction to look in that works. So in with anger particularly, you're going to it's got a voice and it's going to have a trigger. So a person that might come into your field and you'll be angry at them because describe it, go to town on them, judge your
Yeah.
neighbor. In other words, go
Yeah.
to town on them and write it down. And we'll get into this in more detail. The four pillars of the transition. It's a body of work that my partner, my twin flame, and I are working on. It's probably going to be the middle of next year before we're ready to put a website together that can actually connect people to it as a system as a whole. She's in the middle of studying some things to be accredited, but the way to do that is to turn it around. So be angry at them, but the thing is, don't stop there. That's only halfway. Yes, it's true that you're angry. Yes, it's true that they did something to you. Yes, it's true that this is what they did. There's truth to all of that. So give it a voice and hold it in front of you and allow it to exist. And then turn it around. Because remember the point of origin, all of this is self-judgment. We aren't right as we are. That gut problem. Then it gets named in millions of experiences over time as this, that, and the other. But really, it's self-judgment. But what is it specifically for you? Your path, your spiritual path is like a fingerprint. Mine is my own fingerprint. Your path is unique. Well, that's why. The particular system that imbalance created within you through your experiences are unique to you and mine are unique to me. And that's all the same problem, but there are specific words that you need to interact with and connect to and go through certain experiences that are different to mine. So there's no formula in that sense. But the principle of judge your neighbor and turn it around and own every quality within yourself first. It can be true of them, that's their business. Your business is you think it's true of you. There's something that you believe is true of you that isn't right. That's the real problem. The anger is the pain of separation, looking for a lightning rod out there. We've been taught to reconcile ourselves externally, but it doesn't work. And that's why you hit the wall. You've been trying to do that your whole life.
Yeah.
Getting your life to work externally, going out there and getting something, doing
Yeah,
something, being
something,
something.
doing, oh my gosh,
So
I can't do it
it's just
anymore, but still I don't have a place for the anger. I'm
no,
enraged and I've never taken my anger out on anyone when if from the beginning I could in a very healthy and natural normal way, I wouldn't be where I'm at. But now that I know it's all my own reflection, my own stuff, like the trigger isn't the problem. Me being triggered is the problem. My
yeah,
response to, right?
exactly.
Like I get all of that, but I am angry all the time. And I mask it and I'm functional and everything, but I got anger in me. I don't know what the hell to do with it.
Exactly. I mean, the fact is that that pain of separation that the anger comes from has been running your life.
Yeah.
And it's what your life's been run off. You can't keep running off that anymore. And so you're turning and facing the
I
problem,
am
which is,
facing it. I'm not hiding from it.
no,
I'm
no, that's what
sitting
I'm
here
saying.
talking about it. No,
Yeah.
no, no, I know. I'm saying like I'm doing it. I just don't know what else to do. Like, will it dissipate or do I have to scream into a pillow or rage walk like Lindsay and Mike say? Like, will it dissipate with more awareness? Because I'm not, I don't know.
Yes,
It's,
it
yeah,
does.
I would,
Because remember, it's based on an assumption that it's true and it's not. So the more you allow situations that trigger your anger to come up, I just had to make you smile. The more you allow situations and people to come into your life that trigger you,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
the more energy is released, and that's how you handle the anger. You see the catalyst as the help you've asked for, which is to allow you to be in the feeling. It's just we've never known what to do with it. Well, again, describe it. God told me it's important to name, and this is part of what he meant. Where's the anger coming from? What's it called? what's the trigger, the hook? There are words that represent these layers of judgment, the symptoms of that pain that we've built up over time, situations that been put in. Those experiences have a name, but we've never had the awareness to know the name of the experience. The
I
belief, in other
still
words,
don't think I have the awareness to name the experience. Multiple people in sessions, probably your wife included, have tried to get me to name my anger or point at a thing or a person or a behavior, and I can't.
no,
It's like
because
I'm dead inside.
it's subconscious. But you just deal with the moment that's in front of you. Someone just said something to you and you went, blah. Now, in that moment, there's a name that you can identify.
What if they don't do anything? They're just their mere existence sends me into wanting to jump off a cliff.
Well, yeah, that's a problem. Yeah. Well, I mean, there is always going to be something that inspired the feeling. And if someone said to, if you were, imagine you describing it to someone, what just happened, and put words to it. My father is too critical of me, and he shouldn't be. Turn it around. I'm too critical of myself, and I shouldn't be. Yeah, that's true, actually. I'm too critical of others, and I shouldn't be. It doesn't work. Yeah, that's true. Now, straight away, my attention's gone off him to be different. I'm
Right,
looking self-inquiry. I'm looking back in
right.
to the hook. I think
Yeah,
something about now there's probably a layer beneath that. That's just the moment you're in right now.
sure.
Criticism is wrong and they're too critical. Am I ever critical? Well, God, actually, I've got to say I am. Yeah, wow. Okay. Now I can forgive him in this moment because I'm just the same. Now there's a layer beneath that we haven't got to yet, but you have to meet the moment as it comes, as it unfolds. The mother of all of these symptoms has a name too, but we're way off. You can't just go from here to there
No.
because you wouldn't be able to understand why. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is based on this principle. The mother of your anger is 42.
Right.
The life, the universe, and everything is 42. And you go, yeah, but what the hell does that mean? You're not ready to hear it yet because you haven't gone through all the layers that came from it. Your consciousness is still right up there. That's too far in the subconscious. You've got to let life bring you one moment at a time, layer after layer after layer, pare back. You release energy too. There's less energy backing the ego that
It's
controls.
exhausting. All this
There's
is
a whole process.
exhausting.
Yeah, it is exhausting, but the good news is you don't need to run it. Now, and again, that getting a handle on that is tiring. However, we don't need to do it. We just need to let it show itself, let it unfold in front of us. And when you ask for the truth, it's coming to you. You don't have to do that process, that part of the process. All you got to do
Yeah.
is willing to receive it as it is. And the arguing with it as it is, that's the problem. And let that argument be there, but identify it. Become aware of it because it can only operate in your subconscious by definition because you're not conscious of it. As soon as you become conscious of it, it changes its whole relationship to you. So we're mining back through the subconscious
Yeah.
layer after layer until there's nothing left there. We're aware of all of who we are now. There's nothing in the past. As Ramana said, you become fully present in the living moment. That you can't, that's not an act of will. You can't just hear him say that now.
Mm.
What's the problem? You're not fully present in your living moment. Okay, now I am. No. There's
I
plenty of
think
people
that,
in spirituality trying to do that.
yeah, I know.
Doesn't work like that.
I'd love it to work like that. That'd be great. I
Wouldn't we
would love
all?
that. Yeah, yeah,
Wouldn't
yeah.
we all? I mean, I went to a satsang workshop in the Sinai Desert in 1999, and I heard all of this then. If only I'd have got it then, blah, blah, blah. But the reason I'm here now is because of that moment and all the
Yeah, I
moments
know.
that happened between them.
So let's shift gears for a second because when she asked me this question, I thought it was really good. And so what does the Nazarene say about baptism?
Great question.
That's what
Baptism.
I thought.
Well, interesting, it's connected to water.
Isn't it though?
That I don't have a specific answer for, but we can play around with it a bit. So, what's the birth certificate do?
It enslaves us.
Yeah, the number of the beast. You're given a number in a birth certificate that's to connect you to the corporation. Your what's the legal entity is now lost at sea. The fourth beast shall rise from the sea. The law of the oceans, the law of the high seas. The birth certificate connects you to that false corporate entity. Baptism to me is the opposite. It's the recognition of your connection to source. But take religion out of the picture. Remember, religion,
Yeah, but was baptism a religious practice?
it's not about religion, no. Religion
Okay.
co-opted it. Yeah, that's why God said
Religion co-opted everything.
exactly co-opted it.
Right.
So just like He called the Bible a portion of letting through of truth. So there's truth in it and there's distortion in it. And the letting through of truth, it came from a previous source. The Bible filtered out what came before it and added a whole lot of stuff and let enough in so that free will could be honored. There was enough truth there that free will could be honored because that had to happen, but it was distorted as well. Now that what was let through existed before any of that ever happened. So religion co-opted a lot of these precepts and distorted them out of shape so that we can't relate to them in their true form. And that's why people throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to God. It's why it's taken me 3 years to say I've spoken to God because of
Oh
what
my
they've done with
God.
religion.
I know. My mom and I can't even begin to share our love with God. Not can't, won't. Like nobody in our lives could hear it. They'll assign a meaning to it. They'll assign a preconceived belief around it to us, and it's not any of that. It's not that at all. It's so
Exactly.
much grander than
That's
that.
how mind
It's
control works. That's
it
what
is how
that's
mind control works. They're all mind control.
that's the goal of predictive programming, mind control, getting all this stuff in the subconscious so that when you come into a moment, you react from it, thinking you're being yourself responding to a moment when it's not the case at all. You're just filtering out the reality of that moment based on a subconscious distortion within your own perspective, which is again getting back to how do you mind through anger. That's the whole point of letting go of control is to get out from under these predictive programming, mind control uh, layers that are implanted in our subconscious through media and upbringing and modeling and the world around us that we grew up in. Getting free, getting our own attention and um, ability to act and receive the moment out from under the subconscious stuff. And that's religion was the control narrative of the ancient world. And now it's the mainstream media, same thing, same group, same effect, same net result, same motive. It works the same way. It's all the same thing, really.
Yeah, it's funny. I often say that ETs and God and the Nazarene, same thing. But I know it's not the same thing. So I think it was Anne and I were talking about it. Like, how are they all connected? I mean, I know religion co-opted the story of the Nazarene.
Mhm.
I'm
And God,
just, yeah, and God and the Star of Bethlehem. What did you say the Star of Bethlehem is?
Atlas. Star of
What?
Bethlehem was the Galactic Federation, was a ship,
Okay.
but it was also the knowledge that that would happen was pre-embedded during the collapse of Atlantis. All of the preparations were made for what's playing out right now.
Right now.
So a lot of the information, which is where the source material for things like the Bible, the Vedic scriptures, the Hebrew Torah is very important. A lot of that source material was a product of that. Because remember, we fell to 10%. We basically went from high civilization to the Stone Age. You can't talk about a computer to someone who's living in a mud hut because they won't know what you're talking about. And so that had to be put into code. So the things, these prophecies were all about when you see these elements playing out, you know we're at a certain point in the process. So be ready for it. This is what will happen. And now, of course, religion has come in and taken that as well, and it's made it hard to see
Yeah.
through the code to what the code means, to undo the code, unravel the code, basically. But that's essentially all it is. So the Star of Bethlehem was the Nazarene's DNA was, like I've said, transmitted to his mother through a beam of light, which is how DNA can be carried in water and light. And that was the role of the Galactic Federation at that point, overseen by the Nazarene, by the way. The whole thing was overseen by the
You're
Hawk.
right, right. I
So Atlas
remember.
is the same thing.
Okay, so that brings me back to a question last week that I didn't, not that I didn't like the answer, but I don't know if it was, if I understood it. So the question was around other civilizations. So if there is an absolute truth, do other civilizations have the same, I don't know, history that do they have the Nazarene? Do they
Mhm.
have the story of the Nazarene?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Because it's a universal template.
It's a universal template and it's the absolute truth, but do they also come into their existence with amnesia?
Yeah, in the same way. That's the whole point. You can't have an experience of coming back to the truth of who you are without forgetting who you are first. So there's a divine order role for that.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that's the whole point of it's not that you forget who you are. The amnesia thing, it's a little bit of a misnomer. It's not so much that you're born with amnesia because your heart knows the truth. You're born whole. It's just that your mind's not allowed to grow up around that truth and name it. So we're pulled out of that sense of heart connection and knowing, and from that moment we relate to reality in a linear way. It becomes just of the mind. So it's not so much that we're born with amnesia. We're never allowed to connect and develop around that truth enough to be able to hold it in our mind. That's why the Nazarene said, give me a boy till they're 7, I'll show you the man. Give me the masculine principle for the first 7 years of their life. And from
9.
that moment on, I'll show you their mind is now permanently centered. The center of gravity their mind orbits around is the heart. And that will stay that way for the rest of their lives.
I
Instead,
like
it's the
that.
opposite.
I like that explanation better than most I've heard from you or others. Coming in, you not really coming in with amnesia. You're born whole. Your heart knows. The truth of who you are knows. But give me the child till 9, and
It's
then
really nice.
all of that is edited out.
Yeah. So your mind's never allowed to,
Your mind's
consciously,
never allowed to connect.
you don't relate to it consciously because you were never allowed to stay in that connection while your mind formed. So your mind formed around a false center of gravity around who you are. So if it's really that the center of gravity our minds are formed around, that won't allow the truth in.
Oh, I
And
like
then getting
that.
out of that and getting the mind to form back around our heart, that's what the letting go of control is all about. Now, of course, you've got two entities, the heart connection as a center of gravity, if you like, and then the mind belief system orbiting around this belief I'm not right as I am. Now, to get the mind to move off that center of gravity and back around the heart means you're going to be caught between two worlds for a while, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. All the while, that center of gravity is being de energized by coming into the light, the awareness.
Yep.
And the other one, well, if we're not that, who are we? Is being energized, is being brought back. There's more and more awareness of who we are when we just let go of control and what that brings, and less investment in the old need to be secure. That is a process you can't control, and it happens over time until you have an epiphany. That moment you come back to who you are. This is the reverse. God said to me, we are reversing the inversion with you. That's what it is. We are bringing you back across the valley you should not have crossed. That's what it is for each of us individually.
Yeah, the dark, it's not even just that the dark, there is no dark, it's simply an absence of light. Awareness, essentially light, destroys the dark, destroys the programming.
Yep.
So what
That false
about,
center of gravity can't exist.
right? So after what's happening in the next 2 years, when humanity is pretty much caught up and on the same page, children being born into this world will immediately be connecting with their heart and the truth of who they are. They won't have any of this to go through.
Yep. That's why when you meet an ET, they're so present, like so present. When the Arcturians showed, what blew me away was how the power of their presence. Well, that's because they're all here right now. There's no
There's no fragmenting of their selves.
nothing. All of
There's
them.
nobody left back there.
Yeah.
We got
They're
all of
just
us, we're in a funhouse mirror room. You know those fun houses with the mirrors
yeah.
where you look at one and you see infinite numbers of yourselves
Mm,
behind you.
yeah.
And that's it,
Fractured.
and that's it, and that's it.
And you're trying to
They
grab them or put
they
them
won't
back in.
have that, yeah.
Yeah.
So soul
There's no issue.
retrieval, what's that?
There's no issue. They don't have that issue. And they grew up in a
Yeah.
civilization where their mind was allowed to form around their heart connection, and they were guided through that process in just the right way by a generation before them who knows exactly what that is through their own direct experience. So it's the opposite of the inversion process that we've gone through. They're
So
allowed to grow whole.
so what about previous
That's what our
lives?
civilization is coming back to, by the way.
Say, okay, what is it coming back to? Say that.
That
That's a, I
that
feel that's
reality.
a that
That
reality.
reality. That's what our civilization will operate that way because that's what we were in the Atlantean age before the collapse, before the inversion process started. That's where we were already at.
But okay. All right. I get but the human in me gets caught up like, okay, somebody always ruins the good story by being greedy or lazy or mean or abusive. Like that won't be a thing anymore.
Can't exist.
It can't exist.
But it has to be brought out, all of it. Just like in your own life, the ego that controls the reality of it and how it operates and the price you've paid, it's the source of it. All of that has to be brought out so that you can see through it.
So, all of us who have gone first, all of us who have awakened, all of us who have had past lives, and this is, God knows how many times on planet Earth, we're we're going to become like the mythical elders. We're going to be the ones that all those little star seeds revere, and we're going to be like the parents of this new humanity. Like we're going to be like, you know what I mean?
That's it. You'll suddenly turn out you'll appear in someone like Yoda or
Right, right.
will you
You
be
know what
Obi-Wan Kenobi or Yoda or yeah.
I don't know. I think that'll be Yoda. But you know what I mean? Because there's that human in me that says there's there's so much character in us having to claw our way out of this. I'm starting to cry thinking about it. There's so much strength and character in us being born in the inversion and raised in the programming and coming out of it. It's almost like we're better than those brand new star seeds. We're so much better.
You know what the Arcturians said to me in 2018, I think I told you? They said it was actually not them. It was a female from another civilization. She identified herself to me as Jalala.
Oh,
She came
yes.
into a cinema. I was there with my family, or we just been through a tough time too, and I was sitting in a cinema with my family, and I feel this portal open up behind me, and I know from the feeling it's that 5D thing. And then whoosh, she came in and hugged me from behind. And she was talking to me, the family, but the whole all of us, right?
All of
What
us.
you've done for humanity will be remembered for all time. And
That
that was
makes me cry.
I was bawling my eyes out in the middle of the cinema because
Well,
you
I
feel the
was, me
impact.
too.
You feel, all of us on the call, you feel the impact of what it's taken,
It's
what it's
what the
taken.
sacrifice, the pain. I mean, just countless have taken their lives under the weight of this that we carry. So
Yeah,
many have taken their lives under this weight that we
yeah,
carry.
that's right. And it's because it's so
I was
much.
so close.
Mm. Me too, more than once. I
Yeah.
don't know. To be honest, and I think that's why she said it at that time. To be honest, I don't know how I don't know how I made it.
I don't
I
know.
really
I don't
don't.
know. I don't.
Because I didn't try. I just let go of control. All I knew is what I had to take. I was here and I needed to take a step. If I let my mind go into the enormity of how I was feeling, I couldn't. So I didn't know what to do. So I would just take a step, and it just forces you to be just here right now because that's all you can handle. But that looking back, it's mind blowing to me the precision of all of everything that was taken through. The precision of it is just mind blowing. I'm seeing layers of it that it's still unfolding. It's still
Yeah.
showing itself to me exactly what the help I asked for was. You remember I asked for help in '93, and
Yep.
here I am. What was it? 3 years ago, the Arcturians told me to speak publicly.
Yep. Yep. Right when we
3 years
met.
ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
right when we met. It's time for you to speak
It's
publicly.
time
Well,
for you to speak publicly. Here we are.
yeah, and I mean everything that happened from '93 to then, that the layers of precision of the help that I asked for, what that looked like, and the reason it had to be the way it was, and how it blew apart so many expectations and layers of beliefs, and you know, it at times it felt like I was going the wrong way, like a car crash, and that was why it was the
Yeah.
right thing. It's like you
Yes.
can't do it
I
in your head.
look, no, I look like a car crash to anyone looking on the outside who aren't in this family of walking this path with me. I look like a car crash. She
You
hasn't
know,
worked in, how long? Like, what is she doing? Like, like she,
yeah.
and everyone's hurt that I left them. And I'm like, I didn't leave anybody. Oh my God. So to try and explain that to someone who doesn't see the world as we do, and it's just like, you might as well be talking to a wall.
I
So
mean, like,
there are a couple of comments I just want to
yeah,
bring
sure.
up in the chat. And Lindsay is saying the parents have to heal so they can bring up these kiddos right. And she says, this is my shame. And I'm like, you're a mama raising kiddos in this greatest paradigm shift in all of the universe's history in all time. You're raising kiddos in this with the awareness and the love that you have. Why? Where's that shame? There, no. And I get it, and it's
Mm.
subconscious, Lindsay, but she's amazing. Her awareness, her curiosity, her love, her support, like, no, there's no shame. Your babies are so lucky to have you. And then, so I love you, Lindsay. And then Rory says apparently there was a portal change in 87 and the kids don't carry our crap. I've heard things like that as well. And I didn't hear 87. I heard later than 87, but I think you and I have talked about it because our kids are
Mhm.
around, they're the same generation. They don't carry the weight we carry.
Yeah, the way it was put to me, I wasn't told in '87. It was the late '90s.
Yeah.
Um, from about '95 onwards, a new color appeared in the human aura,
The
which was,
indigo children.
yeah, the indigo children. Yeah. So this color blue, that was a net result of the critical mass process. So as soon as the human race chose to wake up to the truth of who we are, that happened in '97. The critical mass, that flow on effect, it has an impact. Well, that was one of them. It allowed room for it expanded our ability to receive reality, which manifested in lots of ways. This is one of them. So a new color, blue, was allowed back in. and
Back in, right.
that represents a lot. Remember, colors are frequencies that represent civilizations, qualities of civilization. There are 24 of them. So this was part of this completion process of the 24 civilizations waking up our DNA. So these indigo children were allowed to come in. It means it's a light space vehicle, a body mind that is allowed to form in a certain way that lets the soul experience coming in be of a type that wasn't able to come in before that because of the limitation we had. We chose to experience the dark, and that edited out a whole lot of stuff. So certain soul purposes weren't able to operate. Well, that shift happened and allowed other soul purposes to come in who were directly about undoing the inversion, which the indigo children were the first to represent that. I was told that they have never been born on this planet before. So individually, they don't have the karmic load, which makes the the generational load easier to handle. And I
Right.
was told that they would all wake up at once. So there's a
Yes.
catalyst coming, which is linked to all of us and the work we've been doing, freeing, dismantling the generational karmic load of 12,000 years of us acting on this
False
inversion. Yeah, we've been doing it
inversion.
to each other, victim perpetrator. Well, that debt, that imbalance, that energy that we gave our life energy to in the past um, fed the imbalance, that's called a karmic debt. We have the next lifetime has to be about more about redressing that imbalance than just having a soul purpose in its purest form. We're born to experience polarity being unity, but so many lifetimes have been about undoing the damage that's been done in the previous lifetime that has kept the human race stuck in a holding pattern, which was what the whole point of it was. What are they trying to achieve? They're looking for a way to make the transition with you. The way they've done that is to keep the human race stuck evolutionary wise, cause us to fall and hold us there, whilst they figure out a way to piggyback off us when we come back up to 5D.
That's what you say reincarnation is.
Yeah, it's not meant to be that way. You're not meant to come
It's
back onto
not
the
meant
planet
to
over
be
and over
that
again.
way. No, right. That was a karmic thing. There
Yeah.
was a suppression thing. It was a, yeah.
Hmm.
But at the same time, will we be able to do it? Like, or will that not even be a thing because of what we're becoming?
You come as a soul into a particular life to have a certain experience, and as a soul, as an individual soul, you have a process you're going through to come back to source, to reunite with source. So there's certain experiences that are about different planets, different planes of existence, hold different theaters of experiences, and you have a direct experience as a soul being, and that just becomes just like your life when you're born on this planet. You go through a series of experiences that complete your awareness and understanding of who you are in this life. Same on a universal level as a soul. So you can pick and choose which plane of existence you come into to serve that evolutionary process you view as a soul. That's a natural. That's what's natural about incarnation. So if you want to come back onto the same planet because it's part of that, helps you in that process, that's one thing. But if you have to come back to redress an imbalance that you caused by allowing yourself to be used as a conduit for the inversion, that's something else altogether. And that's not natural. That's not about the divine order. That's something
So,
that's happened on this planet more than any other.
so if the greatest paradigm shift in the history of the universe is bringing us all back to the truth of who we are, but being birthed in with amnesia, not amnesia, but you know what I mean, was to come in to then get to know ourselves so much and awaken so much to come back to source. That won't be a thing in the future, but the universe is all about ever expanding, and God is experiencing and learning and growing with each one of us. But if each one of us catch up to the same place in the coming 2 years, does that mean God's learned all there is to learn?
No, no, because you're talking about this plane of existence.
Okay.
So we all come back to the truth of who we are and we unify back around, just like your mind is leaving the false center of gravity and coming back to form around the heart. It means you've got to let go of everything you believed and re-understand reality. Now that process essentially that we're all going through, waking up, what does that mean? It means getting your belief system to be back in alignment with your heart connection. So the what you think about reality is in harmony with the core frequency that reality emanates from. The inversion is the reason God called those of the interference, the source of the inversion, those of the interference is just like static. It's a different frequency. So our belief system is formed around an inverse reality, and that's what creates it. That's what makes it real. If we may, it feels real to us when you're scared of flying. It's an assumption that you'll die screaming. That isn't true. The only way to know it's not true is to get on a plane and fly and do it enough times so that that's no longer a problem. Direct experience, in other words, that process forms your belief system around a truer heart connection to the universe, which is it's all one. It's all
So,
life.
so that's on this plane of existence. We're just going to keep on having adventures
Yeah, well,
in
the way
different dimensions and
different
skippity doo dah along like for eternity? Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I guess I'd ask.
totality. Look, we can, yes,
Yeah.
you could talk about this totality of understanding is beyond your comprehension, is what
Yes.
God said. That's a good
Yes.
way.
Yep.
You can keep on going forever and ever and ever,
I know. I
but the
know.
mind can't hold
No.
things on that scale because it's particularly on this planet right now. But but concerning the transition back to reality on this planet, God said after this process settles down, he said, then life may return to that which we always intended on this planet.
Okay,
So he speaks of that.
so no more adventures or
No,
infinite adventures. Okay, but no more of those of the
yes.
interference.
This
Nobody
this
else is going to have to claw their way out of hell to
You won't
rejoin the
have to deal with the
creator.
inversion. Life won't be about the inversion of reality. It's just about reality. That's an adventure. That's the whole reason the human race was created, the whole reason the universe was created. The God said that it's not about removing challenge. Challenge is, you know, being challenged isn't a
Mike
problem.
just Mike just said party like it's 37.99 instead of 19.99. So funny. He's
Oh,
so
Mike, that's
funny.
gold.
That's so funny. Okay, so
That's going to repeat on Katie for a while, everybody.
oh my God, I can't even. I tell everyone who watches my playlist of all of these, I'm like, you gotta pay attention to the chat. Ignore me and Gareth and
No
watch the
worries.
chat.
What's the chat?
Party like it's
Oh, it's
39,
37.
which of course sounds like a price, but so okay, so here's another thing that might be beyond our totality of comprehension.
Sorry.
I know. It was so good.
Oh my God.
He's so good. He's so funny. Oh my God. Um, okay.
Keep going, Mike. We've got to make
So
Katie
my
smile tonight.
my mom just caught up. She's dying laughing downstairs. My mom just caught up. Okay.
Oh, that's great.
So
Hey, yes, hi, Salad.
okay, so if the human race was created, this might be beyond the totality of our comprehension. If the human race was created for this very purpose to topple those of the interference, she's still laughing. Are we, is humanity finite? I mean,
Yeah.
we were a trap. We were like,
Well,
because we'll go on to then be whatever beings or whatever. Like, we have to be finite, right? No?
Oh, look, I mean, everything has a beginning and an end, but the thing isn't what's important, it's the energy that moves it.
I'm still laughing at that. I'm still
Yes.
laughing at that.
It's it's
That was fucking priceless.
we've got to get a t-shirt, all right? That's got to
Party like it's
we've got to get a
37.99.
t-shirt. That's
Oh my God, I know.
if we ever get a merch store, that's going in the merch store,
It's
basically.
going in the merch store. Oh
Oh,
my
that's
God.
hilarious.
Ah, Paul from Melbourne just said hi. We
Hey,
love you
Paul.
too, Paul. I love
I'm
you
in
all
Melbourne as well, buddy.
unconditionally. I love that. Ah, Rory just says I was actually listening to Prince earlier, but I'm on board.
I just got the
Oh,
Star Wars bar scene in my head too.
and Nathan just found the chats. He just found the comments. So, hi, Nathan.
Hey, Nathan.
Lindsay says yes to t-shirts. Oh my God. This is so funny.
What was that
Okay,
question?
so
All
after
right, back to the apocalypse.
back
Oh,
to the
I'm joking.
apocalypse. I know. Mark Atwood, I don't know if he coined the phrase, but it's where I heard him from first was he's an apocalyptimist.
Yeah, I
I loved it whenever he would say that. I loved it. I loved it.
I
So,
saw it in a
okay.
comment and I wrote a laugh emoji. He replied to that too.
Oh, cool. Do you Mike says go for it. So, do you have to go or are you
No,
okay? Okay,
no,
okay. Um, so one other thing. Do you think, okay, so this came from Lindsay after I shared the Blossom Goodchild reading, which was so positive. Like Blossom was just like a negative ninny, but not in that way, in that where she's speaking from my heart. Like we are tapped out. We have heard, hold on, it's happening since 2012. And if you really want to get nitpicky, since 1968, right? But when the Federation of Light was speaking, responding to Blossom, it was so encouraging. Like it's happening. Just you will fly, you will fly, you will fly. And it was just so encouraging. So Lindsay was really funny. She's like, negative thought incoming. She's like, do you think spirits and galactics keep telling us soon or we're almost there or we're so close to keep us moving forward and keep this earth evolution going? Because if they tell us the truth, they know and humanity will stop evolving. Like as part of the inversion, right?
yeah.
What do you think about that?
No, I get where all of those perspectives are coming from. What most people don't really understand is what's the real problem. It's our perspective, how we see everything. That process is what we've been going through. And not only is our perspective the 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 point of view that we look at everything through is where the problem lies. But there's a group called those with EV interference actively trying to keep that alive. So really the process is us waking up to how we're thinking the wrong way about everything. You can't just step into someone's life and show them, tell them. The Galactic Federation can't just step in and fix it for us. They can't just say, "Oh, here you go, there's the problem." They can't just switch off, turn a dial and make it all go away. It doesn't work
Right.
like that because we created the problem by thinking the way we do. So we have to uncreate the problem by realizing that that's how the problem was created, by thinking the way we do. So this controlled demolition of what was created by us doing that, we acted on the lie. We built this civilization. Humans at the ground level created this problem.
Oh,
It wasn't done to us. We allowed it to happen by believing the spin and in acting as if it were true. That's the mechanism that created this problem. Now, how do you get someone who's really invested in this world to change that? You can't just walk in and say, the reason this is happening is because you think the way you do. They're
right.
not, what are they going to do? They're not exactly. So they have to be steered from looking at everything the wrong way around gradually over time to realizing that. And that's what this demolition's been about. It's controlled demolition, forcing everybody, bringing the scenario in front of people so that people who are at the right ability or have the ability or the sensitivity to realize we have a big problem, we've got to put the brakes on. I've got to put the brakes on and take a look. And all the people around the world who are at the opposite point of view, who are really entrenched in it, raising that, bringing that scenario out more and more and more. What
Yeah.
does that actually look like? How do you do that? What does that look like? Well, you were going to say
So
something?
no, I keep laughing at 37.99. But that response, and actually the Federation of Lights response to Blossom, when they were saying, was really actually perfect for one of Lindsay's other questions, because it was basically, so what you're saying is, when they're telling us we're so close, it's almost here, just keep going, that's truth.
True.
That's happening. And when she brought up 2012, they said, well, you're thinking in linear time. Like,
Exactly.
right, right.
And expectations of what a
And
2012 was.
expectations, right, right. Attachment to outcome. And
We think because it didn't live up to our expectations, it didn't happen. No,
right,
it
right.
just wasn't what we thought it was, but it happened.
So, right, right. Yes, exactly. It wasn't what, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
2012 was a critical point because it marked the beginning of this phase. So it's where the unraveling of time started. The fourth dimensional time barrier. That's the capacity for time to start to allow the fifth dimension into the three physical dimensions, because time sits between the first three dimensions of physicality and the fifth dimension. So there's time is non-linear and linear. Time is both, because there are three physical dimensions of height, depth, and breadth, the left brain side of time, but there's a right brain side, a non-linear side that's connected to the fifth dimension. So it's both. It's a bridge. That was blocked. So 2012 marked the point where that bridge was beginning to, the block on the bridge was beginning to be dismantled. And 2016 was where we actually started to feel the physical effect of that. Without 2012 happening, 2016 couldn't have happened, and now couldn't have happened. It's just like you waking up to the truth of who you are is a process. Steps have to be taken gradually over time, and each one leads to the next. We want to get from this to that. What we don't realize is the steps to get us from this to that are the only reason we're going to get there.
Right. And they're happening in every single living moment.
The transition that's coming started in 2012, just like they said, the end of time. That's why this was called the end times. Tom said, we do not have the time set by men. That linear left brain separated from the right brain. Remember, masculine and feminine separated. You got to have them both. When I was talking to God, I was in the room and I was in non-linear space time at the same time. That's fourth dimension.
So you speak, and everyone speaks a lot about third, fourth, fifth dimension. Are dimensions infinite?
They are in a sense, but there are nine primary. Nine
There
is
are nine
completion.
primary.
Yeah.
That's
So
what I
that's why
thought.
God gave the name Tom
The
through this
okay.
book. So that letter T, like I said, the upright is white light. Let there be light. The T is the colors of the rainbow. So the fifth dimension is 0 point. It's the one in the center, and there are four either side. So that's why the name was Tom, spokesman for the Council of Nine. The eons, the aeons,
Yeah.
the nine principles of each dimension is fundamentally based on. And Tom is the center point, the masculine principle, the voice that speaks from that place. But all life follows that same T model. So your heart connection is the upright coming from God and manifesting into the light space vehicle. What we call the heart chakra is the fifth dimension. Our connection to the fifth dimension is that center point of the T. So the three physical dimensions, the masculine principle and time, the is to the left, and the other four. to ninth dimension are to the right, masculine, feminine.
Yeah, that's always a little tiny bit over my head, I have to admit.
Well, but you think of dimensions as starting at one and going to nine, but they actually
Right.
start in the middle. So the universe is
Right.
shaped because
They
of
s-
that.
they start at 5.
Well, the five is the center point. Yeah, five is what they call 0 point. 0 point is the fifth dimension. You can't, it's not, fifth dimension is beyond linear space time. It's all points of space and time. It's a quantum universe is fifth dimensional. All self aware life is five-sided, five dimensional. So pure consciousness, you can't hold it or pin it down or put a name on it. It's infinite. And it comes into our mind, forms around the four physical dimensions, time
Okay.
and in fact, our mind is
Four physical dimensions. The first four.
the first four: height, depth,
It,
and breadth,
breath
width,
and time.
and then time.
And then the fifth is what we're all
Yeah. And
leaving
then
that behind. Okay.
then what happens next? These next four dimensions are what civilizations go through in their evolutionary process, which is becoming less physically dense and more unified in consciousness. So we're all like the human race, we're all a unified consciousness. There's a collective consciousness called the human race. Then there's the individual consciousness of Katie and Gareth and all of us. What happens as a race goes from where we go, what we're coming back to, 4-5D, the race itself evolves like the Arcturians are ninth density, ninth dimensional. It evolves so that there's less and less separate consciousness and more unified consciousness until the race becomes a single entity that can speak through all the individuals. It's not like all the individuals disappear.
Ooh.
It's that they all become unified.
Are
So
we all
unity,
going to be able to speak Mandarin and Russian and Japanese? Are we all going to be able to speak every single language there is to speak? Or we just won't need it? Come on, I want to speak Russian. How cool. Oh my God. Bring
um,
it. Bring it. Hey, I have another question out of left field. It's
oh,
not in the chats. Don't look at the
okay,
chats.
no,
It's
no,
not in
no.
the chats.
Okay.
So mantis beings have been coming into my awareness more, like little nudges. Do you know anything about them?
I don't know a whole lot, to be honest. No,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
I do know they're very wise. There's a now whether they have an opposite civilization that's on the darker side, I don't know. Some do. Some civilizations are binary, so there's two sides to them. But yeah, I have heard that they are very wise, very still.
Okay.
Um, they have a certain capacity with technology as well, which I'm not really very sure about. No, I
All
don't know a
right.
lot about.
Just curious. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Maybe we'll have Lindsay on the show and she can
Yeah,
share.
that's it.
Um, all right.
The anybody any questions in the
Anybody
chat?
have any?
We wrap it up. I mean, we went pretty cosmic there, didn't we?
Well, I'm constantly telling everybody, I just want to talk galactic God and love all day long. Those three things, that's all I want to talk about. Um, I'm just trying to think.
We're in.
Nathan says that makes a lot of sense, and we lose that 0.5D location straight after we are born because we are programmed and traumatized, etc., from birth and vaccines, etc., put into 3D duality. That's
Hmm.
pretty spot on.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
pretty good
again, yeah.
summation.
We're pulled out of ourselves before our mind's formed, and our
Ah,
mind forms around the self, the false self, and then and we call that us, and then we take offense when it's threatened,
yes.
and that's what those of the interference use the control narrative to maintain. That's what you can see that happening everywhere. So how do you get out of that? Well, that you have to hit the wall. You have to run out of road where your way of operating has got any results, and a lot of people are going to hit that road. if there's the sensitive, more aware, more evolved souls or souls with certain soul purposes in the transition have already gone through this process and woken up, and that's been tough. And the other soul groups who are about what's happening next haven't yet, but they're about to run out of road simply because the reality they believe in won't be able to exist anymore as it
Right,
is. And
right.
that will force the issue. Like God said, that it's better for you if you choose. It's going to happen anyway. This paradigm is collapsing. The physical reality that we all live in, the the real intention behind it and the group that brought that intention is why life doesn't work. But what's the mechanism, though, that allowed them to translate their intention into action to create this reality?
So thoroughly too. Us,
Us.
us,
Without us,
they
we created it.
weaponized us. We created, they weaponized us. They weaponized us against ourselves. Like it's like a cunning, massive, masterful plan.
Yeah. So, oh,
It's so in every single facet of life
Mhm.
that you have to hold compassion for everyone else who doesn't
Everyone.
see what you see. Everyone.
That's
Everyone.
what that's the great gift that comes with being willing to admit how sad, in pain, anger over
Yes.
dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't ignore it anymore. Everything you've done to distract yourself is why it's become so big. And
Yeah.
you can't ignore it now because it's so big. The best thing is to let it be there, and that's what's happened. And
Oh, yes. Roseanne, she was telling me that a couple nights ago. She's like, did 3-Eye Atlas cause a shift last week when it passed the sun? I swear I felt something. On the day it
100%.
happened, she told me without knowing that 3-Eye Atlas thing had happened. She told me it was a shift. She felt a shift.
We all did. My partner and I, my twin flame, my wife is like plugged in like you would not believe, and necessarily so. So she really, really felt it. She's like a litmus test, frog in a rainforest,
She's
where
the
she
kid.
tells me
Nah, she's the canary in the
where the
coal
human
mine.
race is at as a whole. Yeah, and yeah, she really felt the impact of it in a good
In a
way.
good way.
In a good way, in a good way,
Yeah.
yeah, in a very good way. But
Yeah.
it's a lot as well.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
look at it this way. Let's call this transition the winds of change, and then your fear is a barrier. Now, or the more willing you've been to go, you know what, I've got a problem, I've got no idea what it is, but here I am. Something shifts in your life. The more willing you are to go with it, to admit that, that barrier has become less and less physical over time. Whereas the same catalyst that caused you to do that has made others more entrenched. So that barrier they've put up has become more physical in time. Now, that wind, when it hits whatever the barrier it hits, that wind of change, it will meet with an equal and opposite force to the resistance.
Yep.
So if you've put up a brick wall, that will be smashed by a massive force.
Yep.
But if it's just like a gauzy film, the force of the change doesn't need to be big because
Doesn't
there's
need to
nothing in
be
the way.
big.
The
Right.
less you've got in the way, the less the less impact this process coming next will have. Well, Atlas triggered that energy wave.
Yeah.
So it depends where you're at. If you've got a lot of resistance, the impact of what's playing out right now is building up in them. So what you'll start to see, I think, over the next 18 months is a collapse in their world, their ability to hold it together, particularly if they've got someone like us, all of us in their family. Because
Illustrating
it's a
all
system.
the work they're not doing and all the things
Yeah,
they're not seeing.
families are a system. So if one person's gone all the way to the truth, like then the system is connected to that force in a way that wouldn't be there had that not happened. You know, you're bringing the
Doesn't every family wouldn't every family have to have one of us? I guess not.
Look, to be honest, I don't know. I mean, maybe, perhaps, but I doubt. It's hard to know. When you look at someone's face, you don't really realize how much questioning is going on inside them either.
No, not at all. Not at all. I remind myself that whenever I'm out in public, just,
They wouldn't be so
kindness.
reactionary if there wasn't a destabilizing process going on inside them.
Absolutely,
They're trying to
absolutely. And
pretend
we're
isn't
just
happening.
illuminating that. Yeah. And they're trying to save their false
Yeah.
beliefs, their story of them. That what you just said though about the brick wall and what it takes to
Mm.
transition that, and a gauzy film doesn't really need that. It's kind
Yeah.
of along the lines of everybody on this call and so many who have awakened and lost everyone and everything around them. You said this to me early on in us knowing one another, is the depth at which you have the capacity to hold the pain, to hold this pain you've held for this long, will be matched that and then some by the joy and the joy that's coming to you. That's
Exactly.
the same example, really.
Everything you put out comes back. That's
Everything you put
exactly
out
right.
comes
Yeah.
back, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's why.
Whereas sometimes I think Lindsay and I will probably, and many here, and I know, Mike, shame ourselves for how we're doing this. Like everything you put out comes back to you. Well, I'm not really putting out too much. I'm kind of like a catatonic fetal position puddle of goo. So how can everything that I put out come back to me like wonderful? Like, but apparently God knows your heart. The universe knows your motivation. Like your suffering, you're not going to be penalized for your suffering. Basically, you're
That's
actually in an odd way going to be rewarded.
well, this is the thing. I mean, again, we have expectations of what it looks like um, to wake up, but let's put it this way: if everything in this transition goes according to your expectations, you'd have to be the first being in the history of the universe to have it happen that way. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It's the expectations come from a belief system that can't see the truth. So remember that. And there's a reason why they're triggered. We have to be put in situations like 2012 that trigger all of our expectations so that we can see this propensity to throw the baby out with the bathwater instead of seeing it that way. Ah, see, I told you there's nothing to this spiritual crap. 2012, look at it. What was it? Nothing. They wrote it off. Now that will come back to haunt them
Yes.
because it's that mindset that's the problem. They'll realize, oh, Jesus, okay, what the F do I know? That's where it all started. And I was so busy. Everyone's going to have to own their own
I know. And you
participation,
said,
how they participate in this inversion. Now, what you've done is not participate. So that's a form of action. You've
I
acted on.
know, but there's that human Katie that's like, I want them to know what they did to me. Right. But you said at the point, I never, I do not have revenge in me at all. I
Hey, we all
want their,
resonate, don't worry.
I know, but I want their awareness to reflect that they know how they treated me when something happened to me. But you said, and I think I talked about this last show,
You'll see it in their eyes.
say that again.
You'll see it in their eyes.
I'll see it in their eyes, and there will not be the need for them to know at that point. At the exact same time, they know what I sacrificed, what we sacrificed, what we did. I won't need them to know. Like, what the hell? That's so not fair.
There's something really annoying about that, isn't
There's
there?
something really annoying about that. Like, damn it, I don't even like get to like, I don't know, sit in some gloating or some like, ha ha, I was right. See, I told you.
Yeah, believe me, I want that too. But I mean, in the end, it's like whatever works, and
Um,
that's it. I've been shown that in psychic in 5D visions that they will express it.
okay, my mom's cracking up downstairs. That must have been part. Real fast. Because I know we're going long today. Roseanne says, I've heard about 2012, but what actually happened?
2012 was the end. Well, I mean, what's said about it? It's the end of the Mayan calendar. What's that? Why is that important?
Mayan. Yep, yep.
Mayan calendar. Well, the Mayan calendar,
Americans say Mayan. You say
Mayan,
Mayan.
Mayan, Mayo, Mayo, potato, potato.
Right, right.
Um,
Melbourne, Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Go
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Go
Well,
on.
the Mayan calendar ended in 2012. Now that was in that again. Remember, all the source material, everything that was needed everything that was needed to decode what's playing out right now was all put in place at the time of the Atlantean Age. Tom singled out Greece and Peru as being colonies of Atlantis deliberately because he was highlighting something about where the source material came through, what to look out for. So one of them is that the end of the main calendar. You'll know when this happens that it's the start of the process.
Okay, but wasn't there also a big Schumann resonance thing in 2012?
Yeah,
Or was that even 87?
there was one in 87. There've been quite a few that are all connected. Yeah, because I
Okay,
mean,
maybe
look,
that's where Rory got the 87 reference. That could
it
be.
might be. Yeah, there have
Yeah,
been spikes in the sun's core frequency that trigger an effect in the core of the
yeah.
planet, and they're all related to it. So there was definitely that happened in 2012. Yes. Um, it's yeah, displacing. It's like how do I put it? Um, displacing the lock of the 4D thing, the fourth dimension. Like your subconscious paradigm, the subconscious layer of your paradigm is all it's elements of understanding or elements of experience all locked together in a picture. So first thing that has to happen before you realize the truth is you have to disconnect everything that's locking it up because it's not letting the space for the truth to be there. Life's always moving. Energy is always moving. It's constantly moving and changing form. And this perspective just locks everything into one form. And that's not reality. So within your own personal spiritual journey is reflected in the spiritual or the journey or transition process of the planet and the civilization as a whole. So it's the same thing. That spike started to break apart the lock-in effect that this fourth dimensional muck around that they had. Those are the interference have messed with the way we perceive time, the way time's recorded, music, the way
Oh,
music is
yes,
tuned.
we've talked about that. Oh,
Yeah,
we should talk about
frequency.
sonic geometry sometime and what happened in 1889. I can't remember, but it was something happened around music
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
440 hertz.
unnatural tuning. Yeah,
It
yeah.
went from 444 to 440.
Yep.
And they did the same thing with time. And they've done different things along the way. And they choose
432 to 440.
432, sorry, 432 hertz
Yeah.
to 440,
Yeah.
432. And that relates to frequencies. So yeah, this frequency in spike in 2012 was related to that, and it broke it apart. It dislodged this. It's like dissolving concrete. The structure's still there, but the concrete, the lock-in is dissolved, so that everything else that followed had somewhere to be. Like the question, what's the truth, gives the truth somewhere to be. If you think you already know, there's nowhere for the truth to be.
Right.
It's a lot like that. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know everything. No one can tell you anything.
So Nathan just said we are 12 years behind to the real calendar, apparently. So the real 2012 being last year, also being when we transitioned into the new golden Aquarian age. Ishmael Perez says this. I love Ishmael
Precisely.
Perez. Yeah, okay, okay.
Precisely.
So
And I was just
even
going to touch
though,
on that.
oh, good, go ahead.
Well, that's what I mean. What's the effect of all of this? They want to get us out of alignment with the process itself, so we can't connect everything together. They've just been trying to make it as hard as possible, as hard everything they
They've done a
can.
bang up job. They've
They're,
done
they're
beautifully.
Everything they can put a roadblock in front of us to try to stop us so that they can figure out how to piggyback off us.
Yeah.
The longer they delay it, the more time they've got to figure out a way to use our light space vehicle for the one that fell instead of God by getting us to give our free will, choose by free will. And this thing with time and disconnecting our ability to meet the moment as it is. So the way the calendars don't actually reflect the cycle of 13 phases of the moon, the knock-on effect of that put us out of alignment. So yeah, like Nathan says, 2012, the real 2012 and the calendar 2012 didn't line up.
No.
But the intention behind the inversion is locked into the calendar 2012. So there are two things
Oh,
going
I
on.
see. I see. The intention behind the calendar 2012 was still a big
Yeah,
shift in the transition
that's right.
simply because of the
Exactly.
intention,
Because we
even though
relate it to
last
time.
year. Okay, okay.
We related to time like that was 2012.
Right,
So
right.
yes,
That's
20
how powerful the intention of and the human beings are.
yeah, we connected to an inversion, and that 2012 calendar represents, it's a way to represent the inversion and its impact.
Yeah,
It's think of it as a line of connection to us.
yeah.
So the false 2012 is a line of connection to our false sense of reality. So that had to be broken. So the connection between 2012, the spike in the Schumann resonance, and all the frequency range that's happened in 2024 are directly connected. And there's a reason they're 12 years apart. It's a sacred number.
That's so cool.
And 24 civilizations is the whole, when the reason the universe is cone-shaped, it all comes from 0 point. Someone asked Tom in the book, "Where are you?" He said, "The zone of cold." Absolute zero in physics is 0 point. So the source of everything in the universe has one point of origin, and it's represented by a black hole or a unit, a singularity. So your heart connection, everything, the sun, all stars, all have a singularity at the core, the fifth dimension. And it moves out into a cone shape. Well, that cone is made up of 24 frequencies, all the colors of the rainbow. So there's a link between all of these numbers in this process unfolding. So that frequency spike in 2012 set up a chain reaction, which allowed everything that took place after that to lead up to 2024 and bring the 2 points back together again.
Oh my goodness. Isn't that incredible? Do you
Yeah.
follow Ishmael Perez? I like him.
I did years ago. I haven't for a
I
while.
did too. I don't so much. I haven't in a while either, but I'm glad Nathan brought him up. That's so cool.
Hmm.
I had a thought. Oh, here's a weird thought. Do you think the moon was put there and is like some messed up ship?
The moon was put there, and
Okay.
it's remember this inversion process that the Earth's going through came through a group called those of the interferences, which is run by what they call the all-seeing eye, the one that fell, the opposite of the Nazarene. So it's just the ego trying to be a thing on its own. The ego is a thought. It doesn't have an existence on its own,
It
right? That's the one
doesn't.
that fell. Well, this
Right.
process in this galaxy had a beginning point. So this group had been moving through the galaxy for about 2 to 4 billion years, somewhere like that,
Right.
inverting civilizations one after another. And the human race was put together as a mix of all 24 civilizations. What the one that fell would have had to do is to go through and get enough races within each of those 24 civilizations to
Mhm.
reach critical mass to make a whole galaxy form around the one that fell. That would create a microcosm of the universe that could be spread out from there. So it started in Orion Wars, what you call the Orion Wars, about 4 billion years ago, I think, something like that. And there was a civilization war there, which ended a planet, a certain planet. And I was given the name for that, but I can't speak about that
Can't
name.
speak
But
it. Right.
it was when this solar system was engineered to create the human race, it was brought here. So that symbolically represents the beginning and the end of this battle. So the end point of what started in this galaxy happening here. So the civilization, this moon was brought here and put precisely at the right distance from the sun to match it equally. And then that was all necessary to create a specific gravitational field and energy, electromagnetic field on this planet, which would allow the human race to exist as it needed to be. So the time scale you're talking about is it's the Earth that we know was put here and has gone through all of the stages it's gone through, including the dinosaurs, everything, you name it, from the way the planet formed all the way to this point now, it was all done deliberately by design so that this could happen the way it's happening right now. And the moon plays a critical part in that, and it links us energetically to where this all came from. Yeah, so it's the remains of a planet that was wiped out, and it was it was turned into a satellite. So there was technology involved as well, but it did originate as a planet.
Okay.
Mars as well. Mars was colonized by a group. Once the solar system was set up, a group who was displaced by that first planet's destruction had been fighting with those of the interference through the galaxy for a very long time, and they ended up colonizing Mars. And that was then also wiped out by those of the interference. And then three motherships landed on this planet and started the process that led to Atlantis being formed. And that was all done by design by the Hawk, the Nazarene.
Yep.
So that was all part of the seeding process that created the human race, because the entire playbook of what's been going on in the galaxy was carried to this planet so that we could be created as an equal and opposite match for it. So there's nothing they can throw at us that we don't have the capacity to meet and match.
So it's all good
There's a lot
news.
more to that. It's a bit complex.
There's a
However,
lot more to that. I know.
I
I
hope I
know.
got that across enough so you can begin to understand.
No, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's just there's just so much, and your knowledge just continues to just like blow me away.
Thanks. Well,
Um,
it helps being taken up onto a ship right throughout your childhood by a
yeah,
ninth
I
gen
know,
sediment
right?
heroes.
I want to be taken up on a ship right now.
I never remembered it. I didn't know that was what was happening until 2016.
Did you remember it in 2016? Did memories come back to you around it?
The Arcturians told me when they showed me when they appeared in 20 was it 2015, 2016, somewhere around there. They for the first time they said they introduced themselves. They told me they had been with me all my life. They told me about the 18 months old
Yeah.
accident being an attempt on my life, etc.
Yeah.
And they answered a whole lot of questions I had basically, which is what was happening when I kept getting this feeling come over me that I had to be somewhere. I was like a kid, 7, 8, 9 years old, and I would suddenly be in the middle of something completely in my own world, and then suddenly I'd just go completely still, and I had a knowing I had to be in the forest behind the house. And a hawk would land on a tree, we would lock eyes, and I would switch off and then switch back on again. Like, what was that all about? So they just came in and explained, we were bringing you up onto a ship, and they gave me images. They allowed me to see things. They said it wouldn't have served me for me to know them. They'd been with me the whole time, and it wouldn't have served me to remember. I had to be given what the benefit of that was without being complicated by the experience that would have got in the way. So I was being
Yeah.
put on. That's where they gave me this sort of
The
subliminal
visor thing.
education to
Yeah.
keep. It was
I,
about keeping the knowledge that I had when I was in Atlantis alive and connected, so that the 5D thing.
it's go on, go on.
Well, it was a way to stop the mind control system through education being too strong.
Yes, 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 yes. You've shared that with me before. I love that. I wanted some of that. I was so bought in. Oh my God, I was so brainwashed. It's not even funny. So
The
that,
questions helped me pull it out too.
right. Yeah, yeah. It's funny. There's a common thread or theme among people who are awake. This great urgency to do nothing because I don't know not and I'm not talking about not being motivated. I'm talking about we're having this feeling of urgency but nothing to do. I wonder if that's connected because I do often wonder if I am receiving signs or messages that I'm still not like heeding. You know what I mean? But you just said like you knew you had to be in the forest. Like so many of us are just there's something to be done, but I don't know if I'm doing it or
Yeah.
I don't know what there is to even do. But
I mean,
there's an
look,
urgency in our
yeah,
bodies.
yeah. That and the whole reason that the Nazarene told James and the Magdalene to have children and create a light space vehicle where a soul could be born in without losing that 5D connection consciously was so that I could go through that process
Yeah.
without getting lost.
Right.
And this sense of knowing would come over me, but somehow I knew just to allow it to be there. So this part of me would watch the experience, and I knew it was significant, but I didn't need to know why. I didn't know why, but it would sit there, and that's why it's kind of that 5D thing. Whenever I went into 5D, it's the sacred masculine. My perspective, something went straight above, and I could see everything impassively. So that kind of carried with that feeling carried with the experience. There was a certain impassive objective kind of looking at it, inquiring into it that stayed with me all through my childhood and adulthood. It's funny, it's like it was a different mode of being. So I let it, I went with it, or it took me with it because of that. Now that only could exist because of that genetic uh, capacity of the body mind that I'm in. And the fact that those of the interference gave permission to this process by executing the Nazarene.
The
That was all
Nazarene.
very important. Yeah. So I was impervious in a sense in the right way to the right things to allow me to move through that process in the right way so I could hold it or be held by it without getting in the way. Now, I didn't know that was what was happening. All I was just being me in the moment.
What about the very, well, historically, religious, the very religious stance, but now the very New Age spiritual stance that Jesus Nazarene or Jesus Christ is the only way. It's the only way. Like Ann and I were saying, like we don't like discount like, oh my God, he's so important. Like I love him so much, but like the only way. What are you talking about? It's like right, exactly right. So there are
Oh,
as
God.
many. What?
It's all God.
It's all God. Like every single thing is God. This is God. This phone is God. This is God. It's all
A
God.
Nazarene is the way in the sense that the
Right.
mind and the heart have a way of operating together that works and anything else doesn't work. That's in that sense, you could say, that's what he represents, the sacred masculine in divine right order. But you can't say that you've got to do everything and be everything that Jesus Christ has said. That's the problem because everything is God. So there's nothing to nothing to do or be. You already are that.
Yeah. So that's a
And
very religious
very religious.
blinders.
Yeah.
The only
It's
way
just
is
it's those of the interference. That's how they operate. That's how they
okay.
divide and conquer. It's divide and
Yeah.
conquer. Look, when God said the time for religion is over, we do not need your worship. They do. Those of the interference do.
Those of the interference
Yeah.
do.
In ritual, love becomes redundant. It's a ritualized way of thinking, and you just end up losing the whole reason you're doing it in the
Yeah.
first place.
Yeah. So
Isn't it to
so
be free and loving? But if you're telling someone they're wrong and bad because they don't think the same way you do, then you've just lost
right.
the whole
You've
connecting the
lost the
dots.
whole point of all of it. Yes, yes, absolutely. So that brings me real fast. I know, I'm getting tired. Have
Yeah.
you read or seen the movie The Giver by Lois Lowry?
Haven't heard of it.
Well, I think you really need to. That's all
The
I'm gonna
Giver.
say.
We'll put this on the list of all the things that I.
That you won't watch, I know.
Well,
I've met
no.
you.
Once I'm on the ship, I'll get them to plug me into it.
So you can see all the things
Quantum,
I've been telling you to watch for
like
years.
Nanosecond later, I'll be, oh, now I'm up to speed with Katie's massive volume of stuff I need to watch because
No, it's so The Giver, it's kind of dystopian, kind of Hunger Games-ish. Like there was a great ruining, and so the elders took color away, took love away, took differences away, made everything sameness. So the movie starts out in black and white, and humans are birthed and then put in the family. So nobody's in their right family. And then there's one person who's the receiver who holds all the knowledge. Spoiler alert, everybody! Spoiler! It's from 2013, so relax. So but in it, the receiver, the main character, so at like age 1, you have a ceremony. At age 9, you have a ceremony. And at age, it's like some teenage years, you have a ceremony. And this one boy was chosen to be the next receiver. And so the current receiver trains the receiver. So the
right,
current receiver becomes the giver. And so
right,
he transfers all of his knowledge to the new receiver, and the knowledge is all of their people's history, all the memories that the elders have chosen to remove. They've removed love, they've removed color, they've removed differences, everything. And in the end, the receiver is feeling these feelings and knowing these things and remembering these things he's never ever experienced before in his young life, but knows that the things they're doing, they've replaced murder with killing, but it's still killing, like all these things.
yeah,
And he escapes with the baby, which is the next receiver would have been, and goes through the boundary of memory. And you see the entire civilization, their entire land, whatever, uh get their color back, and all this awareness comes onto everyone's faces as the
yeah,
memories return to their brains. I'm like,
yes.
my God, is if this isn't what the hell is happening right now, I don't know what
It's
is.
totally what's happening. Great way to put it. They obviously are using it as a way to communicate what's been
Right?
happening. Because
And there
again,
are 4 in the series, just so you know, but only one was made into a movie. Go on.
right,
What were you gonna
I'll try
say?
and check it out. But but those are the interference, their whole MO, um, removing color and light. Well, the problem reaction solution, if it's all based on the idea that polarity is about conflict, they want to create a problem that the reason, they've held us in this thing where everything's so polarized and then there's conflict. So you're trying to resolve conflict, racial problems, religious problems, sex, the sexes, you name it. It's all about getting this idea that the only problem we've got is that we're polarized. So therefore let's make everything the same. And you can see that in the woke agenda.
Oh,
Removing
yes.
pronouns.
Oh,
It's all about the Borg drone thing where we make everyone's the same. There's no color and light or life anymore. Um, that the solution to conflict is to remove polarity. That seems problem reaction solution. Let's move polarity. We'll remove polarity. Problem with that is you kill life, and that's what they want us to do. To choose to solve the problem by surrendering
eradicating,
everything that
yeah,
makes us unique.
eradicating unique,
Unique.
eradicating love,
Yeah.
eradicating unity, eradicating, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Weaponizing life against itself through
yeah.
free will. But that's not going to work. It's not going to happen.
Paul says I'm wide awake, but definitely not woke. I have a bumper sticker on my car, Paul, that says awake but not woke. Yeah, I used to be woke. I was as woke as the woked. I really did. I think that's why it triggers me to this day. I'm like, oh God, I do not need to be reminded of how asleep I
Yeah,
was.
maybe. Good point. There's that's saying and self-inquiry there.
I know. I'm aware of it and I love who I was, but I also a little part of me wants a little reset button. I want a do-over.
Yeah, right.
Oh, People's Places and Perspectives wants to see that movie. It's a good movie. All right. I am so tired. And
Yeah, yeah, it's
I
been
have an
epic.
appointment early in the morning with my car, putting the winter tires on.
Was it 20 to 11 there, isn't it?
It is. It is. So,
Gosh,
yeah, Lindsay, I want a do-over, darn it.
do over, do over. Well, look, the actuaries told me, just as a to went on an end note, they said everything that's been taken from you will be given back. So all the time you've lost and everything that's been used against you will be turned back to the user. And then
All
they
the
showed,
babies I wanted?
oh, well, your ability, because um, removing all of the health issues restores us.
Yeah,
I've
I
seen
know.
images of being brought back to the way we were when we were like in our 30s.
Yeah,
So there's a whole lot of knock-on effect that comes with open contact. Let's put it that
can't
way.
wait. Can't
So
wait.
you
I mean,
haven't
of
lost
course
it.
I can wait. I mean, looking forward to it. I have to remember my language.
No one's going to lose anything. But then they showed me an explosion of color and light because of the Renaissance that's coming. Massive.
That's the other thing with the givers. The more he had memories, the more he could see all the colors. So the colors all flood whoosh back in. Oh,
Exactly.
such a good movie, Gareth. Watch that
Exactly.
movie. Everybody, watch that
Yeah.
movie. Watch that
Everyone,
movie.
you're getting it's
Okay. All right.
important.
All right. I love you. I love you,
Love you all.
Paul. Love everybody. Okay. Bye.
Have a great apocalypse. See you soon.